I'd to call the Board of Trustees for the Village of Weston to order. We could all stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Roll call.
Maloney,
Here.
Cronin,
Here.
Ermeling, here, Jordan,
Here.
Pincinot,
Present.
Wyland. He's not on Zoom.
She said she's gonna be on Zoom, but if she's not, she's not. Okay.
Sagami,
Here. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot he's always Z.
Okay.
All right, public comments. I've got a public comment form here from Andrea Ingvelson. Sorry if I didn't get that right. If you'd like to step up or say your name and address for the record.
Sure. I'm
Sure.
Andrea.
Andrea,
Ingvelson.
okay, thank you.
I am the
Mhm.
regional director for USA Pickleball for the Middle States region. And I also live in Wausau. My kids go to school in DC Everest. So I'm part of the community. And I don't, like I said, I don't know that I really have much to say other than, I think, thank you for your consideration in putting in some pickleball courts. When making the decision about location and number of courts, I think you need to think about, more than 12.
Mhm.
I know that 16 was a number that was being kicked around, but for the reason that you're gonna draw on more people for tournament play and, right now we have 9 at Marathon Park and they're full all the time. And my other pickleball friends back here can tell you that sometimes we have 50, 60 people showing up to play. So it's a great, it would be a great addition to the community. I don't know, Kirk, did you wanna add? I don't know what I'm here to say, other than,
Well,
other than thank you.
I've got a
the
form for
consideration.
Kirk if you want to jump right up
Yeah.
and talk too. So go right ahead.
Sure.
Yes,
Mhm.
so I'm Kirk Vandenheuvel, and I think you need to know my address. It's at 303 Radke Street in Schofield.
Okay.
And I'm a at-large member on the Wausau Paddleball Association.
Mhm.
I think that has nothing to do with my size. But, okay, so a couple of things. In pickleball, there's kind of a joke about the 5 stages of pickleball. And the first stage is a stage of reluctance, meaning that you see the game, you're kind of like, I don't want to play with those old people. The second stage is a stage of curiosity where, why are those people always smiling? And then there's a stage of reluctance, like, okay, I'll try this sport, but I'm not going to really get into it. And then there's the fourth stage of commitment. This is kind of a cool sport. I'm going to try to increase my skill set and everything. And then there's the last stage, and that is obsession. And probably a lot of the members here tonight from pickleball are obsessed with pickleball. But that's the reason for the sport being the fastest growing sport in the nation. Right now, they estimate these figures are probably about 2 years old, but there's about 36.5 million people playing pickleball in the United States. Comparing that to tennis, whereas there's, if my memory serves me, it was 24.6 million. And so it's a pretty big sport, and I think you probably already kind of know that. In Wausau alone, at Badger State Games, we have over, I believe it's over 300 people committed to the games this year. And what's interesting is why people say, oh, that's an old sport, old people sport. The age ranges go from 14 to 77. And so it's a sport that's really got very popular, not only nationally, but even locally. And as Andrea was saying, we were very appreciative of this group hearing us out and allowing us to talk about pickleball and our excitement for it. And I know there's a lot of considerations. One of the things I would just say that I know that a couple of members have met some and said that, we had that survey done and Yellow Banks was considered off the table. And we respect that. I guess we have some confusion why. Partly because, you know, when we look at what is wanted in pickleball, you know, access is probably one of the number one things. Parking and safety are a couple of the others. And Muck Mueller, when I look at compare, Muck Mueller is a great spot, quite honestly, for me personally, where I live. It's actually closer than Marathon Park. But I know from many, we draw people from several communities. We draw people from Marshfield, we get people from Antigo, we get people from Stevens Point, and they all come to Wausau to play. And part of the reason is we have a very great group of people here that are very dedicated to the sport and promoting it. We have people here that will bring in and help people learn the sport. As people get into that commitment stage, they want to learn more drills and things like that. And so we have a group here that works with a lot of people. And so Wausau is becoming kind of a regional hub for pickleball. A lot of people come here to play, and it's kind of a neat thing. One of the struggles we have is Marathon Park has 9 courts, and they do have a 10-year plan. And part of the problem we have is they won't add any courts at this time because of the 10-year plan. And part of the struggles with the 10-year plan is what they want to do is they want to raise some buildings over by West Street and knock them down and create and move the courts over there. It'll be 10 years before they get there, I'm afraid. And so we are looking at other venues of where we could put these courts. For a tournament which brings a lot of people to the community and purchases of hotel rooms, you know, buying gas, buying food, and all those other good things. You know, it requires almost about 12 minimum courts to put on a reasonable racquetball tournament or pickleball tournament. Sorry, I'm a racquetball player too, but and so to put on a reasonable pickleball tournament. And it's my understanding that you know, at Yellow Banks, again, I don't understand all the logistics and things there, and we're open to hearing out, you know, some of the comments there at, you know, perhaps a later date. It's my understanding that, you know, that we could get 14 courts in there. At Mock Mueller, it's my understanding we could get 16. And so, quite honestly, we're very interested in either one, but because of the people that come from all over different areas, Yellow Banks does have kind of an interest to us. My concern is there will be, as we get into like fundraising and things like that, I'll be honest, I think Mock Mueller might be a little more struggle for if I'm going out fundraising compared to Yellow Banks, because I got people again coming from Marshfield that are going, I'm not going to Mock Mueller, and but they may be open to going to Yellow Banks because of the different access points. At the same time, I wouldn't take Mock Mueller off the table because I think for me it's a great location, and I think there's a lot we can do with it. I would encourage you, if no one has played, or if you play just a little bit of pickleball, there's a lot of opportunities. We'd like to invite you down and come and join us sometime. The only one other thing I want to mention is about injuries. There's a lot of talk about the injuries in pickleball, and the joke is it's a very dangerous sport. And I think last year was like 19,000 injuries in pickleball. And most of those injuries were with people over 55 and older. And so when I talked about safety a little bit earlier, some of that is how do we make a safer court? And I know there is one of the things there been some research on is surface considerations, you know, what's the material? A lot of the local or other communities have gone with asphalt, and asphalt can be a soft alternative and less expensive than concrete. But there are some actually other substances that are more shock absorbent. And because a lot of these sports, face it, on concrete or any hard surface is hard on the joints. And because it is played a lot by older people, that is a consideration that we'd like to have thought through as you look through on the committee for that as well. So we'd love to have you try out the sport. We love it. We're obsessed with it. And we appreciate your time.
Appreciate the comments. Thank you. Okay. Public, do we want to go right to the CDB Clear this a little bit first, or do you want public comment? Or I mean, public hearing first?
I would do public hearing first, just because it was noticed for public hearing and
Okay.
then you
Yep,
wanted
okay.
to switch the agenda.
So I'd like to open the public hearing on the proposed comprehensive plan amendments. Presentation by staff and or Mark Roffers.
All right, Jamie, can you go to page 7 or whoever has?
You bet.
All
It's in our
right,
packet.
it's in your packet,
Okay.
yes. So I asked that you guys kind of not look at the whole document. Look at this 4-page briefer that Mark revised and put together for this. Because we had a little misunderstanding at the Plan Commission level, just because this comprehensive plan was first adopted in 2015. Then there was, some of it was amended in 2016, the conditions and issues and the visions and directions. So all we are doing with this amendment is bringing in the corp plan that was approved last year. So we basically took that document that the board approved and the Parks and Rec Committee and inserted that into the conditions and issues volume, and also added it as the Parks and Recreation chapter in volume 2, which is basically the visions and directions volume. Then we took all those corridor plans that we've worked on since 2017, the Camp Phillips corridor plan, the Weston Avenue corridor plan, the Schofield Avenue corridor plan, and we revised the future land use map. So there's a change to the future land use map and also the chart that accompanied it. What we're doing is giving some more flexibility in some of those areas. So we created flex districts. So we have kind of a commercial residential flex. There's also a commercial industrial in some of those areas in the village that we aren't exactly sure what they're gonna go towards. And to give the Plan Commission and the board a little bit more freedom when a project comes in there. So those are the major changes. I know we got kind of bogged down because if you actually look at the document, a lot of it is out of date. If you remember when we first approved it, we were looking at the sports complex, which is now Tommy Docks, and also had Camp Phillips Center in there. So there's been a lot of changes, and that's why later on in the agenda, we're going to talk about the big update that is required every 10 years.
So is this updated now for the 10 years?
No,
No.
no.
So
This is just bringing in the future land use map updates, the corp updates, so things that Sean and the committee and the board approved. We've just been kind of working on those things, kind of got bogged down with COVID, staff leaving, and then the corp getting worked on. So this is just kind of a little amendment to hold us over until we can start. So next year we would start with the conditions and issues volume, bringing that up to date to current conditions, kind of doing the public participation portion of that. And then in 26, we would get into the meat of the plan, rewriting the visions and directions. So basically looking at, like, we didn't look at economic development at all in this minor amendment. So that was some of the things that came up at Plan Commission. We were looking at transportation, just things that came out of those detailed plans that we did.
So somebody's gonna go through and correct all the addresses and stuff.
We're gonna work together, the Plan
Okay.
Commission, the board, so we have to, basically, if you remember, we did a survey. We might do some open houses. We have to kind of talk through that on how we want to get the public involved, find out what their wants and needs are in the new plan.
So I'm gonna spare the time and just give you this piece of paper that you can just keep in a file or for some address, like the junior high is in Weston, but the senior high is in Schofield. You know,
And some of that I think came from,
Kelly Club's in Schofield. Yeah, okay.
yeah, that
So
was
just-
the corp
So we can
document.
fix some of that. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Where are we? Any questions? I'm sorry, Jim?
I do. What costs were incurred to this point to prepare this? Like, Mark's a good guy, but he probably didn't come up here for free to put together what this is.
So we've been working on it over the course of all those years, so.
To get this document that we have in front of us, what was the cost on that?
Jim, do you just mean the work that I spent, or do you mean the work that Rattler
Yes, I'm
spent?
very confident that the staff time was not tracked on it. But what have you billed for what you have done thus far?
I don't have detail on it, but I know it's under $10,000.
Okay, so here's where I'm going with this. Why in the world did we do this? If you go to page 10, it says we have to do this every 10 years. We are literally 9 business days from the 10 years being up. This is an absolute waste of money. This
No,
was stupid.
2016 was when it was adopted. So basically what we're doing is bringing the future land use map consistent with the corridor plans.
Right, but we're rewriting everything in 25. That's farther down the agenda. There's a RFC for
We were already-
$14,000 to do that. So if we're gonna do
We're
that
already working
anyways.
on the project. I can, if you give me a second, I have a full spreadsheet of everything.
Perfect. So since we're already doing this next year, why are we even doing this now?
Because I need the future land use map. It's a project that was approved. We're bringing it now because I had the corp. It took a little bit of time to take the corp from Rattler and get it in the format to put into the comp plan. So the comp plan, the future land use map has to be consistent. So zoning requests need to be consistent. We're going off of some plans, the corridor plans, where the planning commission and the board looked at those specific corridors more in depth. They're not the same as that future land use map that was approved in 2015, 2016.
So this should have been amended 3 times when every one of those corridor when School
We
for
were-
that corridor was done,
We
it should
were
have been
working
amended.
on it. So the point was, it was part of a project to get it there.
But to answer my question, every one of these corridor plans that happens changes the future land use, right? And so at the end of each corridor plan, so when School for that corridor plan was done,
It was
that's
part
when it
of,
went here
it was
and got
part of
adopted.
a full work order, and it's been a multi-year process.
When was
So
the
right
last
now I
corridor
have-
plan approved?
22, I believe.
Okay, so it's been 2.5 years to get to this point?
Well, as soon as I was gonna bring it, the corp was getting worked on and was being adopted. So
Okay. Yeah, I
we brought it
can't.
all together.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm at $5,600. The contract was for 9,600.
And any more of a presentation? This is going through planning, correct?
Yes, so the planning commission recommendation is in your packet.
Okay.
Is there anything you wanted to add, Mark, since we have you for online?
2 things very quick. You have a big agenda. This is important so that your plan is internally consistent and so that anyone reading it, whether they read the corridor plans or the volume 2, read the same thing. And the second thing I will say is when you get around to updating the entirety of volume 1 in 2025 and the entirety of volume 2 in 2026, this is not a wasted effort. The work that's gone into the future land use map will greatly contribute and greatly reduce the effort that would require to revisit it. The park and open space plan, I know we need to update some photos, but a lot of that work has already been done, wouldn't be rewritten. The housing and neighborhoods chapter that's in your packet, largely done, would not be visited with nearly the heavy touch as economic development, as Jen mentioned, hasn't been touched for 8 years. So it's by no means wasted work. It's contributing to and reducing the cost of future work. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Joel?
So I had the opportunity to be involved in this going back to when we did the actual change the zoning, so the work that's going on has been ongoing, and the scope of this thing is such that there is no way that we could really wait for 10 years and then try and do it all at once. So I'm on board with the idea that it's been a work in process and the planning. While we have this 10-year window, the idea that we could actually go for 10 years and then do another one in 10 years would be really difficult considering how things continue to evolve and change. And that is one of the things that we really experienced with even the corridor planning in the TIFs, is that things change and evolve. So I'm not crazy about spending the amount of money and time that goes into doing this quarterly on the outside. So I appreciate all the effort that staff has put into this at this point. But the reality, to ask the staff to do this in a relatively small time frame when this thing comes to the end would be impossible. I mean, from my experience with what's involved in this, and we're gonna be in compliance with what the state regulation is. I think that it's gonna continue to be something that needs to be worked on a regular basis, sections of it. So, I'm pretty excited about what's going on with the corp. I mean, that's a big nut to crack, and by getting that thing into the plan and getting people working on it, raising the money and all that sort of stuff, something we're gonna talk about later. I'm really supportive of continuing to do this stuff as the staff has the ability to address these things. So I understand your frustration of, well, why do we even have to do this?
I'm good with doing it. I'm not good with doing it 9 business days before we're gonna overhaul the whole thing. Cause this, later down on the agenda, we're paying roofers to redo chapter 1, and then in 26, we're gonna redo chapter 2. Why are we even doing this now? Just roll it into 2 weeks from now and just do it all then.
I don't understand.
The process that we start in 2 weeks is not gonna be available January of next year. It's gonna be a 2-year process to get that in.
One for chapter
No,
1 and one
it's
for
a 2-year
chapter two.
process to get the
Two-year
comp plan done.
process. Yeah.
2 years.
Each phase is a year. Each chapter is a year. Yeah, no, Mark, wherever you live.
Each volume to spread
volume.
budget and time is proposed to be occurring in 1 calendar year. Volume 1, with the exception of the Parks and Rec chapter, which will be updated shortly, hopefully this evening, will be updated next year. And should the board approve a further allocation in 2026, the rest of the chapters in volume 2 will be updated in 2026.
2 years.
2 years.
So the visions and directions plan where the future land use map is housed will not be ready again until 26.
No, you can't close the door.
Yeah,
It's
it's
an
gotta be
open
open.
meeting. You
Yeah.
can't close the door. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Yeah, if they want to move down a little bit, they can. Okay. Are we in public comment period, or have we been?
Yeah, we're in public comment.
Okay. Any more in public comment? Any more in public comment? Close the public hearing. Number 8, recommendation from the planning commission, resolution 2024 PC 001. What's your pleasure?
Okay, so before I make a motion here, Jim, I understand your frustration with the money spent. My hope is that the money that was spent on the parts of this that we are updating tonight is going to be able to be rolled into the new plan when it gets rewritten next year and in 20. Is that my understanding?
Yes.
So a lot of the work that was done that we just paid for will be work that is not gonna have to be done again. That's my understanding.
There may be some tweaks to the future land use, because we won't be looking at it specifically until 26 or later on next year. We'll have to have some discussions about the area that was Camp Philip Center, what the board wants to see there, things like that, if there's any changes. Nick Avenue might be a change, things like that.
So the number that Rofer said, the $5,900 or whatever that number was, we can subtract from whatever his number is in phase 1, right? The RFC for phase 1?
No. There's work orders for phase 1. We have the work order. It's the,
So it's in addition to, so then instead of being a $16,000 ask, it would have been a $22,000 app.
I'm
If
still,
these dollars went towards
I'm
that
still
plan,
operating off of a work order from 2 years ago. It's just been rolling through while we've been doing it.
Okay. Husheng?
I really don't understand what we're talking here. We're talking small amount of money you're spending on the plan. You look at the magnitude of the plan and the number of the project involvement, what you're spending, it just is a drop in the bucket. Just look at your old plan, don't look at $5,900 here or $2,000 in there. Also, we're talking about the 10 years. 10 years is the statute, yes, it's the law, but you don't have to do it in 10 years. You can look at it in 5 years. In my opinion, it should be looked at the 5 years. Because things moving too fast these days. So I wouldn't worry about $5,000 of spending because you're gonna look at it again. It's pay off as a long way. You can spend 5,000, but you benefit definitely from it significantly.
Are you finished?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Cronin,
Second.
second by Ermeling. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. So carried, 6-1 vote, 5-1 vote. I don't believe Jamie's on.
Jamie is on.
Okay. Jamie, did you weigh in on that?
You just have to unmute yourself, Jamie. You're muted right now.
Jamie, can you hear us?
Yes, I unmuted myself, but apparently I have to do it at *6. That's a no for me.
No, so it's a 2-5 approval. Number 9, discussion and or action on proposed amendments to the comprehensive plan. A, ordinance number 24-024, an ordinance to adopt amendments to volumes 1 and 2 comprehensive plan of the Village of Weston, Marathon County, Wisconsin. Discussion or motion?
I think that's what we,
Or was
Not
so
what
was
we
8
approved.
just a
I
recommendation?
think 8 was just what the recommendation was.
And that was approval, so you approved actually number 9
I made the motion on 9.
for 9, okay. Is that the way you're gonna record that, Pam? Okay, so just in a little reflection there, so the 8th vote was, the recommendation from the planning commission was approved. Number 9 is the motion by Cronin and second by Ermeling to approve with a 5-2 vote. Let's see, real quick, minutes from the previous meeting, number 10, approval of November 18th, 2024, Board of Trustees meeting. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Zagami.
Second.
Second by Ermeling. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you. Got it, Jamie. Let's move forward. If the board will indulge me on a couple issues. Let's move to. Here we go. Number 49, unfinished business. So discussion and or action on updated tourism entity agreement for 2025 with the Wausau CDB. So if you weren't here, the Tourism Commission voted 3-1 for a 37.5% contract with a 2.5% going for the booker, which would be a total of 40%. We were paying, or we are currently paying 45% on the event side. And now it's gonna go down to 40%. So let's see, so 40%, that'll be what, 35% in our kitty. So 30% on the front and then 35 and then the 40 going to the CVB. So that was approved by the CVB and now it's at the board level
It
for,
was 40% is what.
yep, 40%. I know,
So
we're currently paying 45.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but
And
30.
40 is what we're gonna change it to. Yep.
I move to approve the tourism entity agreement as presented by the Tourism Commission.
Okay, motion by Cronin and second by, to approve the commission's, contract, total of 40% going to the CDB and second by Ermeling. Any more in the discussion, Jim?
I do. When is the annual CVB meeting? I see that's in the contract. It also states that, the board will get invited in the last 2 years. I haven't gotten invited. No email, postcard, smoke signal, passenger pigeon, nothing. I don't know how you communicate that best, but.
Yeah, we have our tourism luncheon in May that we've had. We've had a number of Weston.
Yeah, I know Jamie attended. Yeah, Burnley
Our
did too.
budget and figures, we sent it out to as many of the emails that we get from the village of Weston.
Does it go to the commission or to the board, do you think?
Contract says board.
Oh, board, okay, well then.
Yeah, I think
We'll just,
we
we'll get,
send it out to all the emails that are on there, so.
we'll make sure that we get you all the board contacts for all 7.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah, of course.
Okay.
Anybody contact.
Yep, okay, Jim?
So in 24, the village of Weston budgeted $517,000 for room tax collected. And I'm speaking to the 2.5% administration fee to administer these grants. So simple math on $517,000 is $12,925, right? Now, in the CVB's own report, which is either on this page or the page after, CVB said they're budgeting $640,000 for 24 room tax revenues, which is $16,000. But either way, we use the lesser number, right? That $12,925. So to administer the grants, if I'm reading this correctly, we can hire a temp from Kelly Services at 430 hours for the approximately 36 grants. Or 36 hours a month for 2 grants monthly. Like, that is insane to me that we would agree to those terms. If the money is going somewhere else, that's fine, but that's not what the contract states. The 2.5% is just to administer the grants. These terms are not in the best interest of the village of Weston.
Who are we gonna hire? Excuse me, I didn't get
A
that.
temp agency.
Can I have my time here?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm
Just-
asking
no,
you.
No, hold on. Just go ahead and finish up, Jim.
So, yes, I think it can be done for significantly less than 2.5%, less than $13,000 or $16,000 if it's 640.
And your argument is that you can hire someone from a temp
Let's
agency?
just let him finish.
To just administer the grants, because 2.5%, if you read the contract, 2.5% of they want an extra 2.5% just to administer the grant, just to do what we did in the tourism commission to fill out the form that most times isn't filled out correctly. It isn't filled out completely. It doesn't have the right information on it because some of these folks that have come in here to include the Rib Mountain Snowcross outfit, they said, oh, well, that number's wrong that's in their own report. Their own report said that they had $4,000 asked to Rib Mountain and a $6,000 asked to Weston. If that's wrong, that's what was supplied to us. That's the data that we were supposed to go off of from that grant that we're paying 2.5% to administer. I think we pay far too much. The village of Rothschild pays $0. All of their hotels are represented, which I'm glad that they are. I agree that we should all work together as a community. This isn't just about Weston. But there's not sufficient or adequate return on the investment. It's not working in the best interest of the village of Weston.
Wait, okay, so if you guys want to respond or at least talk about those issues, first of all, it's not an investment, it's not our money. The hotels generate the money. But we get to use it. The first 30% is free. And then we get to use 30% just, to use it for events, and then the rest is supplied by the CVB. And a temp agency, I'm just gonna go into one of yours, a temp agency person would not ever be able to handle what Jody is handling for the CVB or for us. I have been here when the village staff did this, and it was horrible, horrible. And we could not navigate through it. It was just terrible. So if the CVB isn't helping us with that, we would have to monitor that. Staff would have to get involved. I've had multiple conversations with the administrator on this and with finance, and you're dead wrong. And that's it. We're okay with that. I'm okay that I'm not always on the majority side. I think you're the same way. This is how this works. And so we're in the middle of a motion in a second. Is there anything else you want to say?
Mark, I got some
Okay.
questions when you're-
You've got
Go
other.
ahead.
I would just like to say too, that I sat through the tourism meeting tonight. And
Tim did too.
and
Yeah.
there was a meeting that you were at, and I forget the gentleman's name, it was Tim. And some of your comments that you made resonated with me as well. And I think I heard a lot of comments about, well, if the event doesn't happen in Weston, then why are we supporting it? I disagree with that statement because this encompasses the entire area. We shouldn't look at just our boundary for why we give money to these events. Just because hotels aren't being stayed in here doesn't mean that we're not benefiting in other ways. These people that come to town, they spend money on gas, on food, they shop in our stores, they do all kinds of things here that we still capture tax revenue from. So for us to sit here and say that it's not a good investment for us because it doesn't happen here in the village, I disagree with that completely. What's good for this area in general is good for everybody.
The hoteliers of Weston would absolutely 100% agree with this contract tonight. And it's their money. Absolutely guaranteed. And that's why Rothschild is being having so much discussion with their hoteliers because they want to be in with the CVB. I know you said it's being spent. Yeah, it's being spent. But it's not with the rest of the communities. Rothschild is kind of out on their own. Now, I believe they're getting close to a contract. We're gonna probably hear about it this week. But you know, we can all agree to disagree, and that's where we are. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. With no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Nay.
Nay. Okay, so it's a 5-2 approval on the contract. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. I've got two more here. So I've got, can we go to, can you just indulge me here a little bit, everybody? And if you say absolutely not, that's fine. I just would like to take care of the audience. So 45, can we move to 45, Jen?
Sure.
All right, so 45, board, can we move to 45? All right, so ordinance number 24-022, an ordinance amending provisions within chapter 71 and 94 of the municipal code affecting residential driveway standards in the village of Weston and the extraterritorial zoning area of the town of Weston.
Motion to approve ordinance number 24022 as proposed for the village of Weston and for that area of the town of Weston within the ETZ.
Motion by Cronin, second by Zagami. Any more on the discussion? Go ahead, Jim.
I do. So with this change, would that prohibit the Lascano residents from installing their second driveway? Because they came from the planning commission several months ago.
Lascano, which one is that?
It's on
Anastasia. Okay. What?
because it says only one driveway per.
That verbiage didn't change. That verbiage is unchanged from the previous.
Yeah, they asked for a variance because we did deny the initial application because they were asking for a second driveway access.
So a variance would be the only way for them to have gotten that, even with the new language. Okay. Does this change impact townhomes or row houses? Would each unit be allowed a separate driveway? Like those conjoined, whatever they're called now.
You mean like a townhouse?
Example be,
Or what?
The green pastures,
Green
that
pastures.
4-unit.
Like the ones Denion's putting in
Yeah.
up in Inner Springs.
I believe the intent was to leave those as is.
Right, but how it reads right now, will that let each unit have its own driveway?
A 4-unit gets 2 based on what I'm reading on page 422.
Okay. And they have to be spaced 3 feet apart from the lot line, creating 6 foot of green space in between them for snow storage then, is that right?
That's the side yard setback.
Page 423, section 6, paragraph 8. Was modified to read, where such driveways meet the garage, the width shall be at a minimum, the width of all garage door wall openings it serves. Each such driveway need not run directly between the garage and the street. So with that said, the width shall be the minimum of all garage door openings it serves, meaning if 2 10 by 10 garage doors were put in on that, the driveway at its narrowest point would have to be at least 20 feet. If you added another garage door, the narrowest point would be 30 feet. Now, if this were a long driveway, 30 feet wide at the narrowest point, all the way from the street, a quarter mile back, is what we're approving right now. We have designed roads narrower than that to operate fire and protective services equipment on. I don't think we need 30 feet wide driveways, 30 foot wide driveways for that entire stretch. I think that needs some work. And also it states that each such driveway need not run directly between the garage and the street. But the ordinance already prohibits a second driveway penetration to the street, so isn't that kind of redundant, or that's just to tell you like, or like guide the designer that, hey, you know, you can't have another penetration to the street, so run it to your other driveway.
I believe the first thing you're talking about, the width wise, is at the house, not at the street. 'Cause a lot of times what we get is we get a 16-foot garage door with a 16-foot wide.
But it states where such driveways meet the garage.
Meet the garage, not the property line.
Yeah.
No, where the driveway meets the garage, right? So we'll look at the Lascano one, right, with a detached garage. Right? If they had one 16-foot wide garage door or wall opening.
And it's 16 foot
At the narrowest portion of the driveway. Cause it says minimum width. The width shall be at minimum, the width of the garage door wall opening it serves. So if they added a third stall, right? And now there's another 10-foot wide garage door, it's gotta be a 26-foot wide garage or driveway all the way down. And in the town, it's the same way, right? Cause that adopted the same outfit, ETZ. So you got some pretty long driveways out in the town.
The width is actually determined in chapter 71.
So what's wrong then? Page 423, section 6, paragraph 8, or chapter 421? Because it says the minimum width, the width shall be at minimum, the width of the garage door wall openings it serves.
Why do you read that to say that it should carry all the way down? Because if the minimum width is the garage door, that would be where the garage door is. They could narrow it after that.
I don't understand what you're arguing here.
Yeah, where such driveway meets the garage, the width shall be at minimum the width of all or of the garage wall it serves. So it's, the way I would read that is at the garage, where the driveway meets the garage, it has to be that same width.
Yeah, that's the intent.
Only at the driveway, only at the garage end.
Correct.
Wouldn't have to
Where it meets
continue
the
all
house,
the.
where it meets the garage.
Okay, that's your intent.
I think the issue was people were paving driveways.
The previous minimum is the door opening itself.
Right.
Okay, and the intent was to increase that to the width of that garage space. So that there is adequate space for automobiles to park there. Okay, a prime example is on Ross Avenue, the new duplex that's on Ross Avenue.
No.
That's exactly the width of the door opening.
Yep.
And when you put two automobiles on that paved surface, they don't park on the paved surface. So they're over the, so the intent is to eliminate the issue of them parking on the grass by providing a larger parking space, slightly larger parking space than what the code minimum is.
Door openings, the whole bit. Yep.
That's the intent of the section.
And I don't disagree with that. I just wanted to ensure that when I read this, I read that the minimum width of the driveway, minimum width of the driveway didn't have to be 30 feet on a quarter-mile long driveway.
No, it doesn't.
No. It's just where it meets the garage.
Will this help the clients?
We've adjusted front yard setbacks as well and side yard setbacks. The widths at the pavement, if we want to go to that table, that's a width at the property line is 12 to 24 feet in their zoning district per driveway. Thank you. Width at the street is 18 to 30. So as the property line and the street are not the same location. So at the property line, their maximum width in any single family or 2 or 4 family zoning district is 24 feet.
Okay.
At the property line.
We have a motion. Any more questions? A motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, can we bear with me one more time here and go to 50? Can we do that? So then the rest of us can all suffer with the late night? Nobody in our audience has to? Well, let's go to 50, discussion regarding an update on Town of Weston lease agreement.
I think it'd be 50 and 51.
Oh, I'm sorry, 51. Yes, I see it. Okay. Who wants to start off on number 50, discussion regarding an update on Town of Weston lease agreement?
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was discussion only, just an update. I had an RFC in the packet to say that I reached out to Attorney Edie. He'd like to do a new lease, which we are working on getting drafted. And it would cover some things that hadn't been covered in previous leases because of it, Everest Metro being in the building, like cleaning and cleaning supplies, further clarifying garbage. We expect that to come back after the first of the year, but from the town's meeting, the town did share that if the village found a renter that could utilize the whole space, we could put a clause within the new lease that with notice and them being able to relocate, they would if we found someone that took the entirety of the space and needed it.
And right now, all that's being used is that front office on the left. And then once a month, a general meeting, and that could probably be somewhere else too, but I mean, just so everybody knows what's actually being used there and it's not being held. Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say, if we do find a for-profit or a non-government agency that's gonna be filling that, we need to reach out to bond council, because we do have borrowed funds on that building.
Yeah,
right now.
that's something that I didn't think about because we were talking about some different entities upstairs and you brought that up. Because we have, what do we have?
We have general obligation
bonds, right?
that we can.
And
rely
so
on
we
our
can't
taxes.
go to private. And we would have to reach out to them to restructure that
Just to make sure that we're still
could-
in compliance with the general obligation.
because we have a for-profit entity leasing from us. Okay.
And we are able to borrow funds with different rules. So we can't borrow funds in order to make money.
Right. Just so we all understand that. Okay, I didn't know that until Jessica brought that up. She researched it a couple meetings ago. Steve?
I have a question for Chief Finke. Would leasing out the back part of that building represent any security challenges for your department?
I mean, we would just have to make sure that there's locks on the doors, really.
So
There
you-
is locks, we would just need to probably redo them.
And
So you're not opposed to it. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something else that you would be opposed. I know we've got some controlled substances and things like that in there, so I didn't want to.
We would certainly just have to make sure we have a robust locking system between the.
Okay. And then, have you researched any more on, any kind of training? And would training be private or would that be something that would be intergovernmental?
We did reach out to NTC, and attempted to work with them. Unfortunately, they chose to partner with Wassa Fire.
Okay, all right.
So we wanted to do a thing that would kind of affect the whole area, and they were only interested in working with Wassa.
Okay.
I do have a call out to Mid-State Tech College, but it's pretty hard for the tech college system to cross lines.
Okay.
We don't like to go into other
Okay.
colleges areas.
So that's where we are with this. This was discussion only, right?
Just an update.
Any questions? No? Okay. 51, discussion and or action on Town of Weston fees billed for inspection zoning services. Well, catch us up to speed there.
This was a request from trustee Pincinel, from the memo in the packet, and we did look to see what had been billed to the town. The request was not for public works items. It was for planning and development, inspection, other fees other than public works. And that's $6,814.78. And then we did just include what are our billable rates for 2024. That gets approved annually by the board. That would come back after the first of the year for billable rates for 2025.
Okay, so just so I understand this, and I'm gonna ask this just openly. If the town board of Weston would have not wanted us to let that new development go in on the corner, and because we annexed that, and was that just a nice handshake, go right ahead and annex, right? Now, what if they said, nope, we don't want to have you annex that? What could have happened if the town board said, no, go pound sand, we're not gonna let you have that. We're gonna fight you. Could have there been a fight? Cause I remember those days with Rothschild and Schofield before we were a village. What? It'd go to the state, but then we'd have attorney fees and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yes.
So I'm just saying, the partnership with the township, because it happens like that, where it normally doesn't happen like that, they try to protect their boundaries. It didn't cost us anything, right?
I'm sure it cost us something, but it.
Well, but it normally would,
Yeah.
okay, but not if there was if they put if their board said, no, we don't want this to happen, so, okay. I want us all to keep in mind on the extreme partnership we have with the town. And I'm extremely sorry that you're not gonna run, Milt, I'm gonna miss you terribly. So, anyway,
I invited him.
We will do.
yeah, I know, well, you guys got a good group out there, so I don't know how that's gonna, and I'll wait to hear it, so. Go ahead, Steve.
I have a question, and I am gonna kind of jump a little bit here, but it's related. So Jen, I read your report. And there was we're on page 300, number 3, identified needs. This is in Jen's report for December. There's a paragraph in here about some dealings with the town of Weston, and I'm curious, Milt. It mentioned that the board decided not to pursue a boundary agreement for eventual consolidation with the village. Is there a reason? I'm just generally curious, are we not being good neighbors? Because I think the vast majority of us want to be. I know things have been a little hostile lately, and I apologize for that, but.
I think the biggest reason was it's a tax difference.
Okay.
This was discussed before you went to your reval.
Right.
You know, your tax rate was $8, I think now it's what, 6 something?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we incorporated a loan into our tax rate this year, so that brought us almost up to 3, or over 3, I think. And so we're getting closer together, but that was the only reason the board members, I think, went against the boundary agreement.
So at the time it was 8 and now it's 6.
Back before you did your reval.
Right,
Mhm.
okay.
This summer.
So we're getting closer, okay, we're getting closer, good.
Yeah, I thought we were even down to 5. Did I think we might, are we lower than 6?
You dropped quite a bit.
No, we're
anyway.
6.
We went up
We're
to-
still 6.
Okay.
Okay,
That
okay,
was the
good.
only reason.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah, it does. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that we were being good neighbors. I didn't want to be in a situation where there was any animosity or anything like that. So-
Always looked at the town of Weston as a future part of the village of Weston.
Yes, yeah,
And whoever wants a piece of our property, if you want it, you're the only one who really has mostly access. There's only a little bit that's Weston or Boston and Schofield.
right.
And I don't know what'll happen over there eventually. Now we'll turn something down over there, develop it.
Okay. I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Want you to
so
grow.
we
Want you to grow.
yes, thank you. 51, are we finished with 51? We are? So just discussion, no action needed?
Only if there was something that
Right.
more the
Okay.
board wanted.
Okay, all right. All done, 50 and 51 are done. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, moving back to, let's see, acknowledge reports, minutes from boards, committees, and commissions. Jim? You usually grab this.
Yeah, move to acknowledge 12, 13, 14, 16, 17. Be advised that some of the minutes are presented in draft form, but have not yet been approved by the respective bodies, and these are not indicated as such. It doesn't say draft on them, even though they are in draft form, and they haven't been adopted by that body.
Yeah, he said acknowledge, yeah. Okay, motion to acknowledge by Pincinel,
Second.
second by Ermeling. Anything on discussion?
I have a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Did you have your hand up first?
No, was aiming at
Pointing
you.
to you, yeah.
So I was reading some of these minutes and clips. I have a question. How are some of these agenda items for clips ending up on the agenda? Are they being referred by the board? Or who are they being decided by?
Wait, so on Clip's board?
Correct.
Well,
It's
it
in our,
could be the chairman.
okay.
So which specific,
Well,
like the
so-
massage parlor? That came from Jen.
No, I guess the question that I have is, I'm looking at page number 237, new business number 9, discussion on temporary land use types, outdoor assembly or special event, temporary use reviews and noise standards and zoning code. There was a lot of discussion here that again took place on special event permits, which as a board, we talked about very recently and made a decision on. So I'm questioning why this is back at Clips again.
Oh,
It's a waste of time. The board has already made a decision on this. So why is it very recently, might I add?
So you're
why is this
attacking me
being
right now,
discussed?
Cronin, or what?
Oh, I'm asking why it's on here again.
Slow down.
I don't believe that I put it on here.
So how did it end up on the agenda?
I think.
I don't get control over what goes on the agenda.
On the
Maybe
clerk's-
planning lets you put everything on your agenda, but I don't. I can add things, but I'm never told, hey, Jim, can you put minutes on there? No one tells me that. No one asks me that.
That should be automatic.
It should, but if we wanna put chapter 18 or 14 for business or whatever, it is, like we talked about the fire department stuff. Yeah, you know what? I bet you Safer talks about fire department a lot too, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that it
But
can't get
not,
looked
not
at
something
somewhere
that
else.
we've very recently hashed out and made a decision on. So I guess I'm just questioning.
Just make there was a citizen that came that had a concern about the noise from some of the events, and that citizen had also come to the board meeting, but they had come to Clips afterwards and they had expressed interest in knowing why permits were approved till 11, and they'd like them to be approved earlier in the evening. And I think one of the Clips members, I apologize, I'm not sure which one, said that has just joined Clips, this is their first committee, asked if they could have a further explanation, given that citizens' comments about how the permits worked.
Okay, well, that makes sense. It's kind of like pickleball tonight, it came back again, and I just think they want to understand a little bit more on the no vote on.
I saw a lot of discussion about making
Yeah.
it more difficult for businesses
Okay,
too, and I guess that kind of
okay.
perked me a little bit. I think
Okay.
we should be working with our businesses
I would agree
and not
with you.
making it more
I don't
difficult.
see, so which part were you referring to that would make it more?
Well, in the past, staff has worked with people if they came in at the last second, and there was a pretty hefty discussion
Thank you.
that took place in regards to that specific matter.
I believe what you're speaking to is, or you may be speaking to approving a conditional or a noise permit, whatever it is, noise exception permit, whichever, that came from committee member Olson. He had mentioned, hey, whatever we do for one, we have to do for the other. And I believe committee member Ermling also said that we either have to enforce it or not have it.
Okay,
So if we're gonna have these rules, if you're gonna let everyone come in on the 11th hour to apply for the thing you're supposed to apply for 2 weeks ago, why even have it for 2 weeks, then have it, hey, you gotta apply the day before.
Yes, that was
Okay.
my thing. We have a deadline in our ordinances, but we're ignoring them.
So why do we not make it so that if they come in the day before, they can? Wouldn't that be in the best interest of working with people?
That's not,
It's a good planning commission problem.
it's not a good, to me, business practice for the village to be approving things that they gotta run around and get whatever the.
Well,
paperwork.
it's not like everybody does that, but I'm just
Well,
saying.
oh, there's probably one person that's doing it, and I guess to me, if they get say, okay, you have to be in here in 2 weeks, or we cannot approve it, they'll get in here in 2 weeks. I don't think that's something that's a burden on a business. I mean, that'd be like our bar licensing.
yeah, don't go there because they are going past those dates now. Because that's just the way people are right now. They just, I don't have to do it. And, and if I was a bar owner and I was booking talent, I would have a problem. What if I got the talent on Thursday and they can get here on Friday? What if they had to cancel an appointment? They can make me on Friday and Saturday night and I got them on Wednesday, but I had to do it 2 weeks ago. I guess I'd want the village to.
I want
bend for me.
flexibility.
I would want flexibility. I thought you weren't again. I thought.
No, I am for it, but
Oh.
that's not the way that that's
Right.
not the gist I got out of
Yeah.
these minutes. So.
Also, in that meeting, it was specifically stated that and requested that if the intent from the village is to stay more stringent on those rules, notify all those people, everyone in here or at the meeting, it was stated everyone with a liquor license or anyone that could apply for this permit would get a notice in writing saying, oh, by the way, these are the rules, please follow them. So it's not, and that would go out like January 1, not so it probably January 2, because I don't think the post office works on the 1st, but so it's not a surprise. It's not a we're hindering your business. This is we want your business to succeed. These are the rules, please follow them.
Okay, let's get back on the agenda here. So we're on acknowledgement. We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Acknowledge reports from departments. You want to just do 22 through 30?
Motion to acknowledge 22 to 30.
Motion to, by Ermling. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Zagami. Anything on the question? Go ahead, Jim.
Yes. The administrator, who is Mark Craig?
Mark Craig is with Compass Properties, which would be, yep, the management company for a great portion of downtown Wausau.
What was learned from the East Nick meeting?
We are gonna explore a couple options with, first, Cronin Water has to do some approvals regarding mining, because there would be mining in their municipality. But if there would be some mining that was approved, what would it mean if we took a portion, if there was a charge for every load that came out to help cover the cost of the construction of the road?
So an impact fee more or less on the mining operation to pay
That's a
for.
good idea, by the way. Yep.
Any updates from Attorney Edie on, our construction bid and utility delays conversation?
No, not on the utility one.
Nothing further for the administrator, and then I just get a few for parks. How much was the final payment, which was withheld from the playgrounds?
31,865, I think I had in my report stating how much it was. Or did I not have it in there?
I didn't see it in there. It said final payment was withheld. Is that amount sufficient to cover all the repairs needed on playground equipment, parts and labor?
As far as additional cost, there will be no additional cost for the
I
village.
understand that, but if Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Wisconsin, Minnesota, or Minnesota, wherever they are, if they don't come back and replace parts 1 through 17, and we're stuck doing that, is $31,000 enough to do that, parts and labor?
That should be sufficient. Yeah, it should be close. I mean, I don't have exact figures on the replacement parts,
Okay.
but based on the cost of the playground equipment in general, I would say it is.
Okay. How much money has been raised to date for Kennedy Park?
I don't have an update as far as the Friends Group. The Friends Group's doing the fundraising. We did get an update from both Sarah and G Morty. Sarah on Friday and G Morty today, I believe. As far as things are going, but I don't have a dollar amount from them on what was raised so far.
And we will we have to quarterly, per our agreement, have to show what we fundraised. And so Sarah and I are working together on which quarters that will be presented next year to both to the parks and to the board.
What is the status of Kennedy Park Phase 1?
Nearing 100% on the plans, and then it'll go for bids.
Yeah.
So no dirt work done yet, right?
No, I am meeting with an individual or the buildings and grounds person from the Wausau School District. Wausau East and Wausau West recently put in turf fields. So just want to make sure we have it set. So I guess I'm being overly cautious with this and making sure we don't bid something that we regret bidding. So,
Thank you.
Making sure it's the best quality.
correct, yeah.
And then I don't know if this is a Parks or Public Works question, but as you purchased a steel blower and parts at Greeby's, is there any reason why we didn't buy it in Weston?
We've always gotten a discount through Greeby's, and Ace here in town typically does not provide us a discount.
And they're comparable?
Yeah.
I mean, pricing?
Yeah, typically, I mean, typically, there's not a
huge.
huge price.
This is really expensive for me, but I guess if they're not for you. Okay.
It's a fair trade item, so the manufacturer suggested retail price is what they're required to sell it by their contract.
It could be a small amount. It's usually like $10 difference that they provide us, but just the service and service that Greaves provides has been tremendous.
It's great service. I'll give you that.
Nothing else.
Okay. So,
I have something, I have a question.
go ahead.
Yeah, Sean, you said that Sarah and the Friends Group gave an update on Friday. Can you share anything about that?
Yes, I can. So it says our committee will meet again after Christmas. We're working on applying for grants through the foundation. 3 applications have been submitted along with personal conversations with influential people in the area who may be interested in donating. Baseball board meeting is Sunday, where we'll discuss a plan to put a percentage of our normal fundraising towards the project. G Morty has suggested video interviews next, and we're gathering people for those in the next few weeks. We'll set dates for those. Some of the people, alumni, might be home over the holidays to interview. One of the volunteers is working on a few state grants, gathering information, timelines, and qualifications for submission opportunities. Jim, youth baseball president, met with Michael to talk about lights in the field. Recommended reaching out to Wisconsin Rapids, which I know Michael has done. He reached out to Aaron Nelson as far as the type of turf they installed there. And then put together a timeline for groundwork on field 1 as they start to plan for this upcoming season. Also had contact with the Jones family as far as Jones 1 and 2, funds that were donated at that time, and make sure that their father's name will stay intact at Kennedy Park in some way, shape, or form. And then, like I said, after the holidays, small group will meet again to discuss strategic plan for the grants, fundraising events, restaurants, give back days, crowdfunding, businesses, leaders, major gifts, in-kind donations, and events. Committee member Corvino will be working on that. The fly-through for the northwest corner has been completed by REI and shared with the youth hockey. And then videos have been posted on G Marty's YouTube channel. And they're gonna circle back with the CVB and Tim White on economic impact numbers for events, etc. And G Marty basically said that, you know, they're just struggling making some contacts now with the week coming up to Christmas as far as doing the interviews, but they're hoping to get some done.
Okay, who are the 3 sponsors? Can you share that with us?
The what?
You said there were 3 sponsors already?
No.
No, I'm sorry. Okay. So we don't have any sponsors yet.
I'm not sure where it stands right now as far as sponsors for the fields, etc., or donations. That's an update that we'll get here shortly in the beginning of the year.
And then we'll come quarterly.
Yep, okay,
One more real quick one.
yep.
Chief Finke, do you want to update the board on what was decided last week, just so we can kind of get our wheels turning on that?
Yeah, so, you know, we've had several discussions regarding staffing, at the fire district for quite a few years, really. And we did cut staffing for 2025. So typically we're working with 8, we'll be working with 7 next year. And so at the last board meeting, we discussed looking into a SAFER grant. So I know SAFER has nothing to do with us. It's Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Resources, I believe it stands for. It's a federal grant. And that grant is a way for fire departments to get staffing on board, and then slowly over a 4-year period, the municipality has to pay for those firefighters. So year 1, the federal government pays for 100%. Year 2, it's 66%. Year 3, it's 33%. And then year 4, they pay nothing. So 100% of it is on the municipalities. So we're going to be looking into that grant for 2026 budget year. And we'll be working on that here over the next several months.
That'd be 9 additional fire.
Correct, 3 per shift.
And we got a notice today from Tom Tiffany's office.
Yep.
That they would definitely support us in helping us get that grant.
Yep, and just, I know the meeting's long and it's already been long, but just 30 seconds, just an example. One of our shifts that worked Friday, Saturday during their 48-hour shift, they ran, I think it was 37 or 39 calls in their 48 hours with 6 guys. Several of those calls were significant. They had a successful cardiac arrest resuscitation at a business in the village of Rib Mountain on Friday night. 32 minutes after that call came out, there was another call in the village of Rib Mountain. And if those calls would have been vice versa, so if the second call would have came out first and the ambulance for that cardiac arrest patient would have had to come from Weston, there is a 100% chance that individual would have died. And it was a 44-year-old gentleman. So very young. Our ambulance was there and like, I didn't look at the exact time, but probably 4 to 5 minutes. And that person was talking by the time they left with him. So he was in cardiac arrest when they got there. Luckily, there was an off-duty out of the area law enforcement officer there that started CPR immediately. And then our crews got there and did the rest, but.
It's outstanding.
And there were several other calls. There was an individual that night in the village of Weston here that was run over by a car and had to have a fair amount of significant procedures done. And the crew also intercepted with Mosinee Fire Department for a pretty critical trauma patient. So they had a very busy 48 hours.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
With no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Work product transmittals 31. Do you want to take this all three or separate?
Move to acknowledge 31, 32, 33.
By Pincinel,
Second.
second by Ermling. Anything on the discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Consent agenda
Motion to approve items number 35 through 42.
by Cronin. Second by
Second.
By Ermeling?
I'll let O'Shea.
Yeah, well, I heard you first. You're full. So we have a motion by Cronin, second by Ermeling on the consent agenda 35 through 42. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 44 ordinances, ordinance number 24-021. An ordinance to approve the rezoning of 7.422 acres of the parcel known as 5500 Schofield Avenue and 5601 Sternberg Avenue from institutional to B3 general business zoning district.
Motion to approve ordinance number 24021.
Motion by Cronin,
Second.
second by Zagami. Anything on the, Jim?
What was the demolition timeline for that site?
This winter or end of next year, end of 25.
25.
Yep, end of 25.
And the site plan approval authority for this will be staff, correct? For this
I
site,
believe.
or will be planning commission, or it will be?
I think that depends on what we
What's
would
being done.
receive. I don't know that we've received any plans to say whether or not it would be solely.
I'm thinking most likely it'll need a conditional use based off of what he's talking for part of it, so that would be plan commission.
Okay. Has the last building been moved, Roman? That's up on wheels?
The demolition and moving permits, everything is accounted for. So we've got timelines on
So
everything.
all permits are, like Shooty's got all their permits done. So now they gotta go to the county and to the police and all that stuff. Okay, cool, thank you.
You kind of answered it, because I was gonna say, did they get moving permits? Because I've been watching the buildings going up on these blocks.
Couple are gone already.
Oh, yeah,
right?
there's a couple
yeah.
gone. Now that little salt shed is up on, ready to go.
The whole salt shed or the little one?
Little one.
Well, the little one I saw, yeah, okay. All right.
And there, one building that's been sitting there
Yeah.
for a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they moved the old sign shop off
Yeah.
a couple months
Yeah.
ago, and then the rest of the cold storage buildings are slated to go probably this week, I think.
The 19th and the 24th.
Okay. Does that answer your thought? Yeah. All right, motion, hearing no more, discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We've got 45 done, 46, ordinance number 24-023. An ordinance amending chapter 18 businesses of the municipal code for the village of Weston, Marathon County, Wisconsin.
Move to approve ordinance 24-023 as presented and direct staff to notify in writing all lessees currently occupying village property.
Motion by Pincinel with added verbiage.
Second.
Second by Wyland, on the discussion.
Yes, the reason for adding that is we have property, village-owned property that is leased to, for sure, the driving range. I can't tell you if there are any others off the top of my head. And if we changed the business ordinance to change the wording on mobile food vendors not being, or being prohibited on, or allowed on village, was it prohibited, whatever. We changed the rules on village-owned property. They need, if they're leasing that property from us, they need to be made aware of that.
Do we have any others? I think that's the only one I know of, is the driving range.
That's the only one that I know of too. So if he would have a food truck at the driving range, he'd have to get,
If he would.
if he'd have,
Yeah, if he
the
would.
food truck would need a permit if he
Okay.
had one at the driving range.
Okay.
Not if he had one at
It's in the golf course, yeah. Okay. All right,
Also cell towers.
what?
Cell towers are also leased.
The one was,
Correct.
would be in the park, so that would be,
Yeah,
the one in
just-
Kennedy, they'd have to.
Just
add.
in case somebody brought it up, yeah, I think the other lease agreements would be just the cell towers.
In the town of Weston.
But that's all our property too, so,
Yeah, that's all ours.
yeah,
Yeah.
they would have needed one anyway.
Thanks for bringing up a sore subject. Appreciate that.
Somebody might, the other cell tower is right on the trail. It would be a good place for,
I thought it was gonna get replaced by the one by Arrow Bar, but apparently not. Okay, so I have no clue where we are.
46, you have a motion and
First and a
second.
second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 47, ordinance number 24-025, an ordinance amending section 6.102 of the municipal code for the village of Weston, Marathon County, entitled license restrictions, delinquent taxes, assessments, and other claims. What's your pleasure?
Move to approve ordinance number 24-025 as proposed.
Motion by Zagami,
Second.
second by Ermeling. Anything on the question?
I have a quick question. I'm just curious, what does the city of Wausau do? Because I know in the past, I remember there being a meeting that this was discussed for one of their bars. And I think the bar owner wanted to sell the bar with the license. I know that can take longer than 60 days, so I didn't know, is this what we want to do, or would we prefer to have it in a situation like this? Does it need to come in front of the board for us to make that call?
Theirs is 90 days, I believe.
but if the bar was still in operation, they would do a transfer of that
They
license.
can't transfer, no.
They can't, okay.
No,
They
I-
have to surrender, and then part of the sale would be that they would be getting the new
Contingent.
license, yeah. Contingent on the
Mm-hmm.
new license, yep. The transfer only happens in death and, I can't remember all the other ones, but there's
So-
only specific.
Would this still make it possible for an individual who owns a building with a liquor license to do that?
Well, I think, so I believe we would bring it in front of the board to begin with,
For revocation? Okay.
yes. Because the board grants the license, they would be in charge of, or they would be responsible for making the decision. if it
So,
was-
so it would have to come back here regardless.
Yes.
Would it go to, did we change it? Would it go to Clips first and then board?
Think so.
Probably
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
The same thing would happen, at least that, it wouldn't be an automatic trigger
It would give us an
event. It would
opportunity
just
to
go
work
away.
with someone
Right.
if that was what they were trying to do.
Yes.
Okay.
The reason I know the 90-day thing is that when the VFW changed their business model, if you will, they had 90 days to keep the liquor license, and I think they had to go in front of the Weston City Board, Council, whichever. And they got it extended 1 or 2 times. And then they changed their plans for the building, moved somewhere else, but yes, that,
Okay.
then it just went away, it went into the general population, and someone else, I'm sure the same day bought it, because it was the 1962 license, not the.
Okay,
All right.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Resolutions 48, resolution 2024-025. A resolution adopting the proposed road right-of-way dedication for Ryan Street Trailhead Project 2024-0406. Pleasure.
I'll move to approve resolution number 2024-025 as presented, hereby accepting the CSM and additional village right of way.
Second.
Motion by Zagami, second by Cronin. On the question, Jim?
Was there any cost to the village incurred of it, or do we have to buy that, or they just gave it to us because they don't want to plow it anymore?
No, we had to-
we bought it.
We had to buy that.
Yeah.
We bought that, that was like 2 or 3 years ago when we started the project across the river.
Yeah.
So no new cost, this is just
No.
formally stating that this is now our road.
Yeah, there's a long delay in getting the whole condo association to sign off because every member of the condo association and their lending agency.
Right.
And then when there was a sale of a condo, it was, yeah.
Understood, thank
Pretty
you.
messy, yeah.
So offer of lift station and that stuff was in their property.
The lift station itself was in road right away. The Ryan Street right of way went perfectly straight north,
Yeah.
but the road curved. And we already, I mean, the portion that we purchased for right of way
Was for access too.
was for access,
Yeah.
because otherwise we were driving off onto private property.
And that's what they had a problem with. Yep. Okay. So we said yes to that? Fair?
Yep.
All right. Thank you. So now moving down to 52.
You just did the first and second, sorry.
Oh, that's what I meant. Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 52, discussion and or action update on exiting cloud permit agreement.
So we did have in the packet, a fairly long request for consideration that just went through a series of questions. I know I had sent an email to the board that there are just some pieces of cloud permit that we thought existed that do not, and we just are not comfortable with going forward. We have revisited with Evolve what it would mean if we did the update and we did a mobile app solution, which is something that we wanted, which they can do. We had a call with them today, and I think we feel comfortable with that. We have, the letter was in the packet. We have issued a letter to Cloud Permit to say that we would like to part ways. We do not have a final determination yet about what that will mean, but we will work with Attorney Edie and we will share with the board once we know what that means.
Not that we want to be stinkers, but we had not yet paid or partial or something, right?
We have not paid.
Okay. And then another thing we learned was, and I didn't know this, I don't know if it was shared here at the board level, but no one ever has left Evolve. Right?
That was our understanding that
That's pretty wild. No one has ever left Evolve. That's almost like a little mysterious, you know? So anyway, when I first heard it, I go, it is what it is. If it isn't, if cloud wasn't what we thought it was, it ain't it, you know? So anyway, any more discussion? Anyone? Can we actually vote on this yet?
it is a discussion in action, so you certainly could make the determination to exit Cloud Permit. It would be great if we also included in that we would continue with Evolve. We do have the funds in the budget to do the upgrade, and then we would continue with those agreements and get that in place.
So, Jim?
So I see there's, I don't know, 1,000 other softwares in here, and there's probably 24 more that we didn't even look at, which is fine, but are there any of these, and I get it, they cost more, but if we're using Evolve for this, and we're using, I don't know, GIS 1, 2, 3 for this, and we're using this in Public Works, and if we have 4 or 5 different softwares, and this one costs 10,000, this one costs 20,000, this one costs this, I get it if Elements XS costs $80,000, but can Elements XS replace all 4 of these things and do it all in one?
Currently, we're only using one right now, right?
No. Oh, you have your own GIS deal, right? You have your own.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay,
deal,
gotcha.
Like
Gotcha.
kind of every department has their own. Is there one software that will work for the municipality, even though it costs more, but that would integrate, be more efficient, save time? Yes, it will cost more dollars up front, maybe, but when you cancel 4 subscriptions and get one, can we do it all under one roof? Did anybody ever look at that?
Yeah, I've looked at that. There are ones that aren't even on this list that do it. Tyler Technologies is one of them. I think one of them, River Falls uses one. I looked at River Falls budget. Theirs is $390,000 a year. So there are ones out there, but it adds up quick. The City Works, OpenGov, those ones do a lot of those things, and trust me, I also looked and wanted to find something that could solve a lot of our problems, so we weren't dealing with multiple vendors, but they are very, very expensive.
On the umbrella ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So you say 390,000, what are we paying for the 4 that we're using right now? That
Our total for all the software that we have for the Village of Weston is 75,000.
It's considerable, yeah. Okay. So 52, what's your pleasure to possibly exit, say that we're gonna exit cloud and then stay with Evolve, you said, right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to terminate the agreement with Cloud Permit and move forward with Evolve along with the updates that staff has alluded to.
Motion by Cronin to exit cloud, stay with Evolve, and also do some updates. Second by Jordan on the discussion.
Again, as we know more from Cloud Permit, we'll keep the board.
Here, okay, thank you. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. The next item is in black Are we still doing it?
Yes, we were just gonna give
Okay.
verbal update.
All right. Oh, discussion regarding an update on this disposition of surplus property.
We're still working, filling out all the paperwork to get it listed, so.
Okay.
Not up on.
Sounds good. Okay, any questions there? No? New business, discussion and or action on president's appointments to committees and or commissions. We got a ringer. If you weren't here for HR and finance, we got a ringer here from LNS Electric, Dennis Farr, I believe. Been around here for 4 or 5 years. And he jumped right in, wasn't even in our HR and our finance meeting, but boom, boom, boom. And I mean, Jim had said something and I said that you're done, you're in, you can't get out. So my recommendation here tonight is to recommend to the board Dennis Farr as a committee member on the HR and the finance committee. Looking for your approval.
Move to approve.
Moved by Ermeling, second by Zagami. Any more on the discussion?
Just for the minutes, it's F-A-R-A-R.
Oh, F-A-R-A-R?
Yep, but the A-R is silent.
So it's just Farr, not Farrar.
No, just
No,
Farr.
it's not like starting a car. All right, so hearing no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. The next meeting, I believe we'll have another one to jump in there too, so. 55, and then that should be a full committee, right? On that, I think the rest of them are all good. Your clips is good, right? Planning is good. All right, 55, discussion and or action on Kennedy Park hosting 2 WASA event programs in 2025. I'm excited. I hope it isn't too much for our police department, but I'm excited. I don't know what is the event or what's the attraction or is it just local bands or what? And food trucks and beer?
It's 2 events. One would be essentially a concert in the park. That would be August 20th. That would be a free event and you would bring your chair for a concert in the park. The other event would be an Oktoberfest style event, a craft beer tasting with music and food. That would be a ticketed event. So it would require fencing. You'd have to purchase a ticket in order to gain access to the event.
Okay. Can we handle that, chief? Okay.
All good.
So after tonight's meeting, when a lot of people were exiting the tourism commission, a gentleman came up to me, I believe he works with Ally, and said that that'll be $1 a ticket for all WASA events for this year. I don't know if you've heard that too. I know they said they didn't know for sure if they were gonna charge, but apparently WASA is gonna charge $1 per ticket. So just so you know.
I just would note from parks, there was some conversation that the WASA events would pay the fees that are associated. But with staff support, that potentially having part of the motion at the board on how much staff support we wanted to provide.
That was.
Yeah.
How many people
Would
are
it
they
be a-
talking?
What's that?
How many people are they talking?
We don't know yet. We don't know yet as far as the talent too. Maybe we can get another municipality to help, like Rothschild.
Yeah, I would assume
I'm sure
there
there are
would be
people will be coming over here too.
a tourism request for.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it'll be a tourism request. Steve?
Well, the second one would be ticketed, but that first one, the concert in the park, would that be $1, even though it's occurring on an hour?
No, that was Wausau. Wausau is
Just in
Yeah,
Wausau.
Wausau
Okay.
is gonna charge all their events in like the 400 block,
Correct.
$1 more per ticket, so that police will be there to help and public people will be putting up the different street
But we're gonna
stuff, yeah.
provide that free of charge.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, perfect.
Again, Oktoberfest would be a ticket event, so whatever the ticket cost would be, because you'd be inside of the fenced area. But as far as staff support, they're just as part of the RFC, they do need a little bit of help with getting the post in the ground for the fenced event. And some probably staff support. They will provide the generators, but just making sure that the cords and everything are run appropriately, and we would have to likely mow the lawn beforehand.
What
just
condition
so it
will
looks
we be
nice.
in at that point? What condition are we gonna be in August and October for any kind of ground?
As far as groundwork, we'd still be on regular mowing schedules.
I know, but nothing for
Kennedy Park plan, yeah.
No, okay.
So the area
Jim
that
asked a
they're,
question on what kind of dirt.
oh, yeah. The area they're proposing to use would not be affected
Okay.
during the phase 1 construction.
Good.
And they're very flexible. They know that that's gonna go on for the next several years, that they could move around that entire area to
Okay.
host the event.
So did we get a first and second on that?
I know, did we have a first and second?
No motion? Looking for a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Ermeling,
Second.
second by Zagami. Any more on the discussion, Jim?
Yeah, how much staff time are you approving?
I think that's gotta be, yet to be determined. We don't know.
Just if you wanted to put a limit on it in advance, if you said it can't be more than. I'm throwing out a number, 15 or 20 hours per event or something to that effect. It was just a conversation at Parks, that's only.
I wanna make sure that if we say that, then we need 30 hours, is that gonna break it? Or are we gonna come back to this and have a pretty heated discussion that we said only 15 and now it's 30? I don't know how we can make that assumption.
Well, if I may, a lot of the discussion was around some of the items that we were concerned about, which was garbage, but they provide their own dumpster. Cleaning restrooms, stocking those, they provide their own porta potties for the events. Those were like two of the main items. Literally, I think the assistance they needed was installing posts, make sure we mark our utilities, irrigation, et cetera, prior to the installation, and literally that's it. The other stuff that would take place would be us mowing the grass. Well, we mowed the grass anyways that week, so it's not additional beyond what we would do for our normal duties. And that's how we worked it with the other events, you know, like when we had Irish Fest and so forth. It was, if it was beyond our normal duties, then we would bill them for.
But I'm glad you brought that up. To Jim's question, how many hours do you think we did for Irish? I thought it was a tremendous amount.
I think.
I
so.
thought the staff was so involved in that.
For Irish Fest, yes, there was an initial, that first year we were heavily involved. After the first year, we were a lot less involved. Because, you know, once they got the event going, they knew what they needed to do there.
We gave 20 grand to those events, you know, so, okay. Steve?
I'm extremely excited that we have some events that want to take place here. In the spirit of it being the first year that we're going to partner with Wausau Events, do we not want to put a cap on it this year and maybe track our hours and see where things fall at the end of the year?
I don't know what the number's gonna be. I mean, this is intentionally being done. So, I mean, Ally is pushing things out here.
And maybe this
partner
year,
with us, to
we
partner
just
with us.
track it, we just see what it is and
That's what I
then,
think we should do.
and have it as a report back to the board on how many hours we truly did spend.
Not just staff, but Chief, could we get a number on your hours too? Probably both.
Would we,
police and
would we
fire.
have a standby right there too, an ambulance?
sure we'll have some overtime right away on it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I do.
They are providing their own security also.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if they do request additional police presence, it would be in the special event permit.
Interesting.
Specific time, they know the cost, so there is a cost involved in that.
I think the point is good though. I think to monitor, you know, get some history on this, get some notes down so we can do this year to year on how much it costs. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I've asked this question several times. What does it cost to mow our lawns? We don't have that number. It's all in a big pot. So we can't even look at getting all the green out of our village and going with rock or green cement or something else because we don't even know what we'd save, you know, so I'm not being a jerk. We don't have.
And we have bid out all the lawn mowing previously.
We have?
Yes.
Okay, but now we're only bidding out so much.
Yeah, but we bid out like everything. Literally, the village no longer take care of any grass and it was just astronomical. It was not.
Yeah, and is it all through Riverside or a bunch of different groups or?
We had multiple bids, because most companies couldn't handle all of our mowing.
You would create 10 companies. I mean, they would all be just liquidating it just to be able to do our lawns. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's move on here. I'm sorry, what?
No, I think it's just a good idea not to put a cap on this you know, within moderation, I guess is,
well,
you know, but no. And so that next year we would have an idea what they requested, what the cost was. And if we thought it was too much, we could always say, we will provide X number of hours or whatever.
Well, what, I mean, what's too much? I mean, I don't know,
Well,
40
we'll
hours, 60
figure that
hours?
out.
I know, but yeah, okay, go
No
ahead.
cap this
Yeah.
year.
I'd like to make a motion to amend your motion to include tracking all the hours of the village staff, police and fire.
Yes.
Second.
So we have an amendment by Cronin, a second to the amendment by Pincinel. All those in favors of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now, all those in favor of the original motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We got through. All right, I'm gonna buy that first ticket. That'll be fun. Let's see here, 56, discussion and interaction on village-owned park facility naming policy. Who's got this?
This was a recommendation through Parks. They did approve the naming policy. It's included in the packet. It does include both village-owned facilities and park facilities. So it encompasses both the Parks Committee and the board, depending on what would be naming, but it doesn't preclude the board from naming a park. It does, I would note, just because it came up a little bit earlier, there is a piece right at the end about a grandfather clause that all existing parks and facilities named prior to adoption under this policy would be grandfathered in. We talked a little bit about the Jones Field, that they would still be recognized within Kennedy Park because that's been already
But
established.
so you're saying Kennedy Park is gonna be grandfathered in and stays?
Kennedy Park likely would stay as the whole park, but it might be Kennedy Park at something.
But somebody comes in with $2 million and we're not gonna say, oh, wait a minute.
That would be of your choice, but
Yeah, Jim?
When I read it, my understanding was that even if the requirements weren't met currently, right? So if Prohaska didn't meet the requirements to have their park named Prohaska Park, that they would be grandfathered, it's still okay to call it Prohaska Park. We don't have to rename it now because it doesn't meet the current standard. Or am I reading that wrong?
Well, there's some history on Prohaska Park. and
I
there's-
understand that.
there's
I'm
some
not trying to
history
get it
on-
renamed. I'm
on
just
Mock Miller
using
too.
that for an example.
I
You
gotcha.
can use Kennedy Park. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah,
Any currently named items are allowed to stay currently named as they are. They don't have to go through the approval process because they're already named that.
I gotcha. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
I think you have like
He said it
the
right.
Maloney complex at Kennedy Park or something like
Or
that.
Wadowski. Yeah, yeah, okay. All right.
the Wadelski Field.
I'm shocked he didn't say Bologna Park. So, a food truck with bologna all the time.
That would be
Okay, yeah, yeah. All right, so, so a yes on this? Who wants to say yes? Huh?
No motion yet.
No motion, just discussion? Done. Just give me a hand signal. All right, 57, discussion and or action.
There was no motion made yet.
There was no
All right,
motion.
that's fine. That's
I
fine.
recommend approval of the village-owned park facility naming policy.
Motion by Zagami,
Second?
second by Jordan. On the question.
Has Attorney Edie reviewed the policy?
No, he has not received a separate copy of the policy.
Would you like that?
I think if we're doing something like this and adopting a policy where you might be naming a $15 million park, it's probably behooves us to maybe have the village attorney take a quick peek at it. One thing.
You make that a recommendation?
There's a motion on the floor.
Yep. You wanna make that amendment?
That has nothing to do with the motion, really.
What's that?
That has nothing to do with the motion.
Okay,
When you got.
so we can, yeah, we can just
farther-
forward it to the attorney, sure, okay, let's just do that.
Down farther. we have-
Any more on discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. So Jim, you gonna note that on the attorney referrals?
You betcha.
Thank you. 57, discuss and or action on incorporating committees, commissions into the annual evaluation process for department directors in 2025.
I did include in the RFC the minutes from Finance and Human Resources. This was discussed at last month's meeting. And there was some mixed interaction with the committee to say that maybe this is something more that the board would do than committees, because committees don't have the day-to-day interaction with the department heads. And they referred it to the board to discuss. So the question before the board would be for next year's evaluations. Would you like some sort of questionnaire or material that you would give feedback on the director's evaluations?
From the committee or commissions only. And of course, their own staff, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So own staff is not a formal process. We talked about that at the meeting. We can make that a more formal process. I did offer to the directors this year if they wanted, specific questions to go out, that they could. So otherwise, that's a more informal process than an actual question.
I'll tell you, we're doing that right now with Mountain Bay Metro Police Department. And it's gonna definitely show you what you need to work on. I mean, we're extremely fortunate right now that the one we've done so far, just to get a quick synopsis of, it was incredible. It was just phenomenal. And boy, does that go a long way too, to know that what you've done is you've really created something really neat. And I don't think we should be afraid of this. I don't think the directors should be afraid of it. I think you want to hear that, you know, I just do. I mean, in our business, we have a full 360. So it's people above me, people below me, people that hardly even know me in our company. And I think it's okay. Do you need your staff to do 20 questions? No, 3 or 4. You'll get a good gist just off of a little bit. And as far as community commission, yep, they're not dealing with them a lot, but if you have a hard time organizing your commission or committee or your agenda, you'll hear about that. And what's wrong with hearing about that? Are they able to tell someone that they don't think it's going well on their commission or committee? Or if it ain't the director, is it the president or is it the administrator? I don't know. But I think people people enjoy talking about where they work and hopefully being heard and making it better. I don't think generally most people want to wreck something and tear it apart. I would hope not. So, yeah.
Well, I think this was mostly like where we have staff members on our committee and that when it comes to review, that we would be able to put you know, how is the staff working with the committee? It would be, you know.
Yes,
that
it'd be
would
the
give
director. So on a Parks Committee, they'll be having 3 questions on Sean. On Public Works, they'll have 3 questions on, I'm not talking specific wild stuff.
No.
You'll get it right away. If there's something off or something really great, you'll get it right away. And that's all you want. You don't want a whole bunch of stuff. And sometimes a simple answer of, no, I have nothing to add. Everything's great. That's all you need. That's enough to let it go right there. So, yeah.
Move to include incorporating committees and commissions for department directors review processes beginning January 1, 2025, as recommended by the Finance and Human Resources Committee.
Motion by Pincinel,
Second.
second by Ermeling. Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 58, discussion and or action on addition to the employee personnel policies and procedures handbook, chapter 14, section 08, exit interview procedure.
Just would note from the meeting prior from finance and HR that they did make a change to letter D, that it would read annually instead of April.
Yes, okay, remember that.
So that's 58 and 59.
Just for 58.
Just for 58.
But 58 is still gonna remain in the administrator's hands.
Yes.
Yes. So board members don't interview someone exiting and ask
No.
questions?
No, the way that the policy is written, if a director would leave, it would go to our HR specialist. And if I left, it would go to the village president.
Right, okay. That's a director.
Yes,
What about,
everyone else would come to the administrator.
As the
It's just that
administrator.
The way the policy is written is your supervisor is not part of the exit.
I know there's been questions on, board wanting to know more about the exit interview. That's a no.
That would be annually. Annually, a report would be given. That was the change.
Yeah, okay.
And
So it's a-
anonymous, so it didn't say Susie Smith
Right.
didn't like to
Just-
open the
just,
bathroom
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
General, yeah, okay, got it. Thank you. Okay.
We don't?
So I move to recommend adoption
Yep.
of policy 14.08, exit interview procedure to the Board of Trustees.
Motion by Zagami,
Second.
second by Cronin. Any more on Jim?
So there's some discussion on in finance HR, page 505, where it talks about cash payment.
That's the next agenda item, and that would just be skipped for tonight because that was referred back to committee.
Very well, carry on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so is it page 503, that's the next one too?
But no, 503 is what we're on now.
To clarify then, the accounts payable, payroll, and human resources specialist, that's just one person, right?
That's
They just
one
have the
person.
world's longest job title.
It's a long job.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So carry, opposed? So carried. 59, discussion and or action on modifications to the employee personnel policies and procedures handbook, chapter 14, employee separations and retirements.
So that item was referred back to committee at the previous meeting, so it can be skipped this evening.
Thank you.
Move to defer action until January.
60, discussion and or action on plan commission recommendation to approve work order number 20, phase 1, comprehensive plan conditions and issues volume, community survey. Issues volume, yep, community survey. What's your pleasure? Chip,
So I have a question on it.
you wanna make a motion?
No, I do not.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Zagami,
I'll second to get it on the. floor.
second by Cronin. Now on the discussion, Jim?
And maybe I'm reading this wrong, but the math on this doesn't add up. So it shows $16,000 to update volume 1. But earlier in the document on page 513, or later in the document as you will. It shows the cost for the work is $6,000 to $8,000 plus up to $4,500 for a survey. That math doesn't come out. That doesn't math to 16,000. How do we get there? And that's why I asked the question earlier to Rofers of, is that $5,000 rolled into this? 5,900 or whatever. Nobody can tell me this answer.
But not to exceed 16,000.
So why don't we have it not to exceed 160? Like, if your estimate is $6,000 to $8,000 for part A and the survey is 4,500. 4,500 plus the very most of your 68,000 would be 12,500, no?
Okay,
So why are we doing a not to exceed of 16,000?
I think at the point at the time that we did this, we didn't know. How do you know? So you put in your not to exceed, you come in at 12, you should be happy. You're saying now with that history, now the next time we have to do something like this, okay, we got some history, now we can do 12 or 13,000. Is that what you're saying?
In the document, it shows we got $6,000 to $8,000 it's gonna cost to do the written work, and the survey is 4,500.
Okay,
So I'm comfortable with a not to exceed 12,500. I'm not too comfortable with a 16,000 number.
so, oh, you're saying that because we have not to exceed 16, we're gonna spend it.
I guarantee we'll spend that, yeah.
That's not true, though. That's not true, that we're not gonna guarantee to spend it just because it's there. I mean, we don't do that. We do not to exceed for a piece of equipment, and there's times we come in $30,000 to $40,000 less. So I mean, to say something like that is fine, but then you've got to also say sometimes, hey, wow, we had a great savings here. We had a $400,000 limit on this Caterpillar, and we came in at 360. Kudos to everybody at a $40,000 savings. It's not always that way, Barb.
Well, when you have this and you have a contract that says, I don't know what you said, 14.
For 8 plus 4, which would have been 12 and a half, right?
5,8
Yeah.
plus
Yeah,
45,
whatever.
6,8 plus 45.
Whatever the contract says, if he is going to exceed that, he has to come back to the board to get permission to exceed the contract amount. And if for whatever reason, if it's legit, or I'm not sure it would be, but we would still have the 16,000.
Spend that.
Mike, what are you explaining, Michael?
So I guess I'm trying to figure out what we're, so I think in Jen's RFC,
That was from the initial one to the plan commission, so that was estimates when we sat down to talk with Mark at first.
And how long ago
For
was that?
budgeting.
How long ago?
August.
August, okay,
So
so
what
we.
he's given you
we're
is the work
Okay,
order.
So now we're at 12 and a half, 13. So yeah, I mean, we do that a lot with equipment. That we come in, you know, lower.
Literally on page 513. Mark gave us some rough budget numbers to use, $6,000 to $8,000 with us doing the mapping in-house like we did last time, 10 to 12 if we do not do the maps. So the 16,000 would math if you took 10 to 12,000 plus 4,500, hey, that makes sense. But if the intent is for us to do the maps in-house, then 16,000 doesn't make sense. And I believe the intent is to do the maps in-house, yes?
Yep, so then last August, you know, not knowing where we were gonna be, maybe, we could have said 12 or 13. And we came in at 16 and go, what the hell? Why didn't we know this? You know, we don't know that. I mean, it kind of, Michael, it hits you the most sometimes. And we used to have somebody that used to question it all the time. Why would we do this? But now we're saving $25,000. I'm going, oh my gosh, you know. I don't know. I guess I don't see the question, Jim.
Okay, that's fine. We can agree to disagree.
Okay, yep, okay. Are we on 3 or 75?
You're on number 60.
60, okay. So do we have are we in the discussion? Yes, we are.
Second.
Any more in the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So noted. So Jamie, are you there? So it's a 5
I'm here.
approval. No,
I think she just said she was here.
okay, well, she's not voting. I just haven't heard no voting, so. go
I
ahead.
just have a question.
Yeah.
Jennifer, could you make sure that $4,500 including that 16,000 for the other update? I think that's what he's doing.
It is, yes. Yep, it is.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 61, discussion and or action on aquatic center repairs.
So there's 3 quotes in the packet, as far as recommended and repairs at the aquatic center. Replacement of wooden posts, general maintenance on the slides, and then additional maintenance on the slide structure, which is corrosion, replacing some strut on support pipes for the water supply, replacing the furnicles on the large slide and on the drop slide, and then all corrosion and zinc coating on those. And then going through all the slides as far as caulk repairs, buffing and cleaning the speed slide, and then general washing of the slides also. So there's 3 different quotes with 3 different, just had them break them up apart instead of one quote for all the work. Okay.
What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve awarding the aquatic center repairs, Fisher Brothers, and then I have a question.
So we have a motion on the floor by Ermeling, approving the Fisher Brothers quotation.
Second.
Second by
second.
Sagami. Now on the question.
On the question, where is the money coming from?
It is CIP. The next item we're discussing actually has the CIP that was approved by the board that shows the aquatic center projects.
And that's in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just wondering where you were getting.
Jim?
3 things. One, should that motion be amended to be a not to exceed number of 34,790?
You gotta
I'll
come
move to
back
amend
to
the
it.
motion to change it to state not to exceed $34,790.
Is not a bid a not to exceed? Or is a bid to accept the bid and then they can go higher? I guess,
It's a lump sum quote, so that
Yep.
should be what you're approving.
yep, so so you're not to exceed that bid, right? Okay. I've never heard us, I mean, maybe sometimes we have, but I haven't heard it lately. The not to exceed.
When will the repairs be performed?
Next spring. I verified with them on Friday that they would be able to complete the work prior to our opening.
So it will not impact the pool's operation at all?
No.
Thank you.
I was in contact with them on Friday because that was my big question was, are we still able to get them in the schedule to get it done prior to us?
Okay. Any more questions? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 62, discussion and or action on the CIP park project spending.
So this item was requested by trustee to include on the agenda.
Trustee who?
It's an all.
Okay.
So Jamie, I believe, added the CIP plan that was approved by the board in the packet for if there's discussion regarding that item.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was a large public discussion, public forum stating that there would be, the pickleball folks had expressed not being in support of pickleball at Mockmuller, and that it would be, that they wouldn't fundraise for that if it were to happen anywhere other than Yellow Banks. And I feel like it would be foolish for the village to dedicate CIP funds in 25 to a project if the $100,000 won't get the courts built.
Right.
Right, it'll get them designed, so if the fund, it would be like Kennedy Park, if the Friends of Kennedy Park said, no, we're not gonna help you raise this $15 million. Why would we spend all this money to design and engineer it and we're up those dollars?
Mhm.
So I would like to see restructured or changed or peel a different park project forward until we can come to a mutual agreement.
I think, is that, where are we, I mean, aren't we kind of waiting on this? So, cause I've had a lot of discussion with a lot of pickleball people. And I feel they're moving over to Mockville. And especially when they hear all the stuff at Yellow Banks, that we have to have the county involved with curb cuts and getting across that median and all the infrastructure we'd have to put in, plus shade. I mean, those bathrooms aren't enough, you know, there's just no way. And we don't have when I think of Yellow Banks, I think of Yellow Banks down by the water. I had never thought of Yellow Banks south of the pump house. That to me doesn't even look like a park. It looks like a vacant, naked piece of land.
And the
So-
pickleball club did express wanting to have a conversation and discuss Mock Miller more. I guess if it was specifically about pickleball courts, I wish we would have structured the agenda item more specifically, because I think pickleball maybe would have stayed if it was going to be about specifically that park project.
Wait, what are you saying then? Yellow Banks or
People would
Mockville?
have stayed for this agenda item.
Oh, okay, yep.
We're not here anymore.
My fear, because I think this conversation should happen first versus having an agenda item for the pickleball members, is I didn't want the board to feel like myself or somebody was going around us, because we already voted 6-1. And I think we have to talk first if we want to entertain an agenda item. And I was reluctant to put that agenda item. You and I talked about that, and I didn't want to go around the board. I didn't want to have it come back up and Joe or Jim or somebody say, wait a minute, you know, we voted on that. Why in the hell is that coming back up? And I think rightfully so. So I think we have to come to, I told my neighbor and several others, yes, we can reverse this, but it has to be somebody that said no, has to reverse it. So we only had one yes, and the other 6 said no. And we have to come to that, and I don't even know if we'd have a majority to go that way. So I drive to Yellow Banks, to the south of that pump house. I think I'm on a field. When I drive to Mockmiller, I'm at a park. So you know, and driving too far, you can't drive too far anywhere around here, period. This is Wausau, Wisconsin. My God, this is central Wisconsin. We're not in Minneapolis or New York and driving an hour and a half to get across town. Come on. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Is it more convenient though for the Wausau people? And is it more central at Yellow Banks? Yeah. I promise to God, I'll shut up now. Go ahead.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, I had to say that one last piece.
I don't think they said they are interested. They said it's gonna be more difficult to do the fundraising.
Yeah, well, and here, I'm gonna be really, and I'm actually glad we didn't have it on the agenda, because I'm probably wouldn't have been able to stop this, my mouth. If they say no to the fundraising, we're done. It's it. You're exactly right.
That's what was said on next.
If we want to throw $100,000 and let it just sit there for a bit and see what they do, that's fine. As long as we can pull the money back. Are we gonna start the project with 100,000? Absolutely not. No way.
What would we do with the $100,000 then?
It's seed money. It'd be seed
I
money. to
understand
fund-
that, but what would physically get done with it in
Nothing.
25?
Nothing.
No, I
We
mean,
couldn't even,
Could we, if it doesn't happen, could we not put that towards Kennedy Park?
couldn't? Yes, we could.
Couldn't? That's what I'm
Sure we
saying.
could.
Why don't we?
I think that's what Jim is saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Take that line item off of pickleball for 25
Mhm.
and
Well-
peel something else and move it up, because we don't have the pickleball people haven't come to us and said, hey, we got $1 million all set up, ready to go. You guys want to draw the plans? Let's get it going.
I don't think the other group from Kennedy Park come and said, I got $15 million here, let's go with the project.
True.
You're right.
So
You're
then-
preaching to
then
the
don't
choir.
separate like that, because raising money is not just going around and people say, okay, here it is. It's gonna take some planning to do that.
Steve's first, then I'll go to you.
First, we gotta make our mind,
Yeah.
are we gonna have a pickleball court or not?
Yeah.
So I think we can always change this document. This could be changed at any point throughout the year. And to me, having that $100,000 of earnest money on here is just us saying that we're committed to the project.
Right.
That doesn't mean that if something changes and they decide we're not gonna fundraise or we're not fundraising, that we can't say, all right, we're done, we're moving this out of here,
Fine,
we're
we'll move
moving
somewhere
on.
else. Yeah.
But I don't think leaving it there for the time being is gonna hurt anything
Yeah.
either.
I just, also noting, these are borrowed funds, so there's rules around borrowed funds. So while, yes, you can make adjustments, like there's some, these are more than just written in sand since you borrowed the funds for these projects.
Barb, you had something?
Well, I was,
Otherwise, it's
Steve said pretty much what I was thinking.
Okay.
We need to have, I would highly suggest we keep that 100,000 for pickleball, but if they drop the ball. we
No
can-
pun intended.
No pun intended. If they don't go forward, because we're gonna go with Mock Miller, and I will not change my mind on that particular issue. Then we can try,
Somewhere else, yeah.
you know, use it for, like you say, Kennedy Park,
Yep.
we're gonna have
Somewhere else.
a lot of costs there.
Joe?
But, you
Yeah,
know,
I agree. I'd like to leave it on as a commitment to that group, but nothing has to be spent until we get to that point. And so I don't see any reason to remove it at this point, as long as we're all in agreement.
I agree. Okay.
And I don't think Sean is, I don't think Sean is planning to do anything come March.
No, okay. Shane?
As far as I'm concerned, up to this point, I spent more time than anybody else on this project.
Yep, you have.
I did all the preliminary design for it, I did all the layout for it, and that's where we stopped. So I got more investment in the project than anybody else.
Yeah. Okay. Wrap up? Okay.
Meeting that needs to happen.
What's that?
I don't think is there a motion that needs to?
No, there is not. No. All right, so 63, discussion regarding an update on cost savings to outfit the 1-ton truck in-house.
Move to acknowledge the report provided on outfitting the truck in-house.
Motion by Pincinel,
I'll second it.
second by Cronin, on the discussion. Anybody? Oh, Jim.
I've got one.
Yeah, I want to commend the staff. I think you did an excellent job. I appreciate the attention to detail and documentation that shows that you did. Not only did you track your time, but hey, we drew schematics, we did whichever. So A, we can build the next truck better, and when it breaks, we know how to fix it. So good job.
I have a quick question. What, under here, it says we have 39,000 for large upfitting component materials. Is that a one-time cost? So the next time that we have to do a truck, we already have
That was
tools to do that, or is that gonna be, is that cost to be incurred per vehicle?
That was per vehicle, that was buying the dump box, the salter, sander, the plows. That was buying those components.
I apologize, I misunderstood. I thought that was already on a different, I thought this was just doing the work, not buying those
So
materials.
just
I was
the total cost of doing the work was to buy the parts, right? And then miscellaneous stuff that we had to buy, and then the labor. So that 46, and I think we were at like 51 or 49 or something. It was more to have Monroe or Scott's or someone do it.
Right.
And now we have it done in-house by our guys, we know what we're working with, and we've got it documented.
Yeah, the lowest bid previously was 49,470, so. So I used our billable rate for our hourly rate too, that's, our at cost would be less than that.
I just need clarification, that's all, I'm good.
So all the pictures that I saw under, all kinds of different pictures being shown, what was addressing the picture with the hoist outside of the building? Oh, so you rust proof outside of the building?
Yep.
No, you rust proof the bottom side of the truck.
Yeah, on that hoist.
Yeah.
Why do we have that hoist outside when we have a hoist inside?
We like to do it outside because the stuff has a, not the most pleasant smell to it. So if we can spray outside when it's nicer out.
Did we just buy those hoists? Or did we
We've
have
had a set of hoists.
Those
for
hoists?
Almost 10 years.
Those hoists, okay.
Yeah,
I'm done. Okay.
They're mobile.
I should have teased you, I should have just asked you the question. All right, so, motion to approve.
Acknowledge.
All
Was
those in
already there,
favor?
and then you gotta vote on it, I think.
Yep, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. 64, discussion and or action on village parking regulations.
move to commit this topic to Clips.
Okay, motion by Pincinel to move this to Clips Committee. Is there a second? I'll second. What? Second by Jordan? All, any more on the discussion? Yep.
Chief, would the purpose of this be to align it with Rothschild's ordinance?
Yeah, actually, you guys, you two are gonna talk about the three communities, right?
Oh,
Schofield too?
kind of. We can't really do much with Schofield, but,
Why?
well, because it all has to go through their board.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's kind of, down the line a little bit. Most of the stuff happens in Rothschild and Weston.
Okay.
So we're just trying to get a lot of things to be easier for the people that are working the road.
If I can help with Schofield, Mary Craig is gonna continue, so.
Can I just ask what Rothschild's ordinance is right now? I mean, how different are they?
Some of it is the timing, some of it is,
Snowplow stuff, right?
yeah. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Michael, and I talked to Jen a little bit on some of the stuff, and I just think it's a great discussion so that we can just be consistent on what we're doing. So Rothschild always gave warnings for the first time that a car was parked on the road. We since have gotten rid of that, and we started with $10 tickets this year now. And our sole goal is to make it easier on the DPW workers. If I don't have a car on the road, then life is good. If I see them coming in, I get people out right away, and times are a little bit different. It's just so that we have a discussion, you know, this is new for me, and I don't know if they've had that discussion in the past, and I think it's just working through all this different stuff.
The reason I was asking, it mentioned in here that right now, like, we changed our ordinance to allow overnight parking, correct?
Correct.
I didn't want to get into a situation where we were necessarily getting away from that. I want to find a way to work with everybody.
Okay, we still do that. If someone calls in, we allow cars to park.
Okay.
However, we give them a 3-day window, and they have to do it within 3 days. And if it's gonna snow, then they're told no on the day that it snows, and it has to be moved. And again, the sole purpose is to get those guys done as quick as possible and get the cars off.
Okay.
So I get a lot of calls when cars aren't moved, and then I get yelled at a lot. I don't like to get yelled at, so I just want it as easy as possible. And I want the officers to do it and not, if tickets are too much for one thing, they don't want to write them. And I just want it to be smooth, but I haven't really had this conversation, and I just brought it up and thought we should get working on this because snow is coming, and so there's a lot of these weird things that we haven't got to talk about.
It's a mutual event for the two communities, exactly. Good.
I'll just say, I do like the way ours works. We changed it for a reason, so.
And that's what I was getting at. I didn't want to get in the middle of it. I understand it's got to go to Clips.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
Well,
sure
it
that.
sounds like Michael wants to be included in the discussion.
Yes.
And I agree with that, and I'm not saying,
I know.
I'm not the guy that's coming in saying we are gonna change it, we're gonna do this. But if I have a conversation with Michael and he says, this ain't working, we need a better way, well, now at least we have that communication on it and we know where we're going with it.
We don't want, I mean, if I was a plow driver, I would plow the car in. So we don't want that. So, you know, I mean, I would do the entire street right at that car.
I was gonna push it right in the pickers and move on.
Yeah, maybe, so. All right, so, it's a question, go ahead.
Yeah, how much different is ours to Rothschild?
Rothschild's is the overnight one like we used to have.
And,
We don't plow overnight.
and we never have emergency
We'll figure it
parking
out.
that we
Yeah.
refuse.
Okay.
So I guess it's just, I want Michael be there and we'll just.
Yep.
Yeah.
So all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. 65, discussion and or action on upgrading existing GPS equipment.
To authorize staff to upgrade existing GPS equipment for vertical accuracy for a do not exceed price of 13,500.
Motion by
Do not
Pincinel.
exceed.
Motion by Pincinel, second by Zagami. Any more on this discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Is this a annual cost or one-time cost? You mentioned license fee or license was required.
We're buying a perpetual license, so. It was, yeah,
Perpetual means forever, that's Shark Tank.
perpetual means forever,
That's
as long as it's with
Mr.
this unit, as
All right.
long as that unit
So
lives.
that license lives with this unit forever. Yeah. Carry
There'll
on.
be some firmware
Or no,
update.
perpetuity.
Perpetuity.
Perpetuity, that's it, yeah, thank you. All right, yes.
So we took.
How often you have to upgrade that or replace it?
It comes with as long as we upgrade it annually through the warranty period, they'll make sure the firmware and that data is taken care of annually.
Okay. All right,
We
motion,
realized we hadn't updated our current unit in 4 years.
the firmware, yeah.
Yeah, the firmware. So
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 66, discussion and or action on removal of east and west stop signs at the Von Kennel East Jelinek intersection. It's the new four-way stop. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I, is it okay if I ask for it to be on here, so it's okay?
Yep. Do we want to get it up on a motion first?
Yep.
Yeah, I probably should.
Okay, I'll make a motion to remove the stop signs. east and west.
One set, not all four, right?
Correct.
Motion by Cronin. Do we have a second? For discussion? Second by Ermeling. Now on the discussion. Go ahead, Steve.
So the reason I asked for this to come on, and I fully understand that this was voted on and it was unanimous, the way it was designed, I understand that. As someone who drives on that road quite often, I've witnessed now almost two, they weren't accidents, but it could have been bad, 2 accidents there, because number one, people aren't aware of it. I know you put flags up, that does seem to have helped, but I have also spoken to a number of the neighbors over there who also have kind of expressed that they would like to see them removed. I know when the discussion happened, we put it in because there was one resident near that intersection that was complaining about the traffic through there. And my question is, are we setting a precedent? I mean, what happens if we have one resident out on Schofield Ave that complains about traffic speeding through there? Are we gonna put stop signs because one person complains? I mean, what was wrong with just rebuilding the road the way it was and putting it back the way it was? I guess those are my thoughts. I don't know if anybody has anything they'd like to add, but I personally would like to see them.
Jim?
So I remember this coming in front of the board and Public Works and the unanimous vote for them. I drove down that road last week, Thursday-ish. And had one of those, what is this? Red octagon here, right, moments. And I would have been that guy that ran that stop sign. So thanks for putting flags or whatever you put out there, but the intent from Public Works and the board was for a traffic calming effect. The Public Works looked at those big speed hump outfits. Believe it or not, they even looked at a roundabout, Steve.
I do remember that.
Yeah, and as popular as that has been in this room lately, it didn't happen, but I think stop signs do a hell of a job of traffic calming. I mean, you can't get traffic stopped any more than a stop sign.
Are all 4 stop signs flagged or just the 2 sets on east?
just the 2 new ones are.
I wonder if all 4 should be rented out. I just do, and because I'm hearing some stuff already on Weston Avenue because it went down to 35 to the lights. And some of the residents on Shirley realize that eventually that's gonna be 35. You're slowing down for the stop sign. You really shouldn't be gunning it down there. 45 is 55, 35 is 45. So they're actually saying, you know what, I can handle that, but the 35 has to have red flags all over it because you're not gonna see it unless it's a change. So why not have red flags all over it? Same thing here. Now, if we do this, and I was completely against any rule of bumps and speed deals and all this stuff, yes, I know about the one resident. But then Fuller has to get a stop sign. You know, we said no to all those areas over by Everest, by the junior high. And now this year or last year, we put stop signs in because more people complained. But initially, one person complained, a school board member who lives up by the highway and thought it was extremely dangerous that people are flying down that road, you know, on Normandy and all those different ones there. Maybe not Normandy, but I can't remember. So Fuller, I've heard several people, and you know our buddy. So he's gonna be all over us. He said he asked about it at the last meeting, and right now they're not in there, but that Fuller is a long run. And it's kind of that last in and out coming in to get to Ross, to get to Greenheck, whatever. I think it's a no-brainer stops that, you know,
Another stop sign.
first of all, there's none on Fuller.
Right.
So it'd be your first one, not another one. It'd be just in the center, and maybe not Robin, but the one, where does he live, that corner?
He lives on Janus, but he was suggesting something
One more south.
further
Right.
south.
Yeah. That's just a big run. And talking to Jamie, she goes, well, then everyone's gonna wanna jump over to Mesker. And maybe, I don't know, maybe they do. I'm still nervous on Mesker because the police department is still there, even though they're not there. But I've been pulled over there twice, so.
You
anyway.
took the sign down.
I know, so, but anyway, just a thought. So I mean, because that's not a heavily used road, you know, that Steve's talking about to get a stop sign. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's a bar there and it's got a very good cocktail crowd. It might not be the worst thing to have them stop one more time before they fly all the way down. You know, I mean, just to help control it. That's,
I'd say the difference at Von Kennel and East Jelnik is the traffic counts are somewhat equal. So
Really?
people going down East Jelnik or Von Kennel are making those turning movements. It's more equal, whereas on like a street like Fuller, most people are just going straight through. They're not turning onto one of the side streets.
well, if that's true and they are just going straight through, that's also the people that don't care.
True.
And they're gonna go as fast as they possibly can. And, but if they are turning, then they do care because it's their neighborhood. So, okay.
And if we,
Thought.
you don't want to, I'm fine with it, but like I said, I spoke to a number of residents and I told them I would bring it up, so.
And I know you and I've had a lot of conversations tonight.
Stopped at 5.
Chief, could you make a comment on this intersection, please?
As far as stop signs,
Right.
You know where we are over by Wish?
Yeah, I was catching up.
we're looking at it right
Oh,
here
okay.
on my phone.
And by the way, those light blue trucks, whoever those guys were, shame on them. Because they parked right in front of Wish forever. And I thought, you know, you guys can park anywhere. Why do you have to have those big blue dump trucks right in front of Wish for a month and a half, 2 months?
We didn't have the utility agreement fixed.
Goofballs.
So I grew up close to this. I remember now that was just a stop sign on one way, yeah, right.
Yeah, Von Ken.
And Croninwetter tried this because in their intersection of Pleasant and Pine, where the old cheese factory was, they changed how their stop signs were and all it is problems down there. If you're gonna do anything, I would make that a 4-way stop, but.
That's what it is right
That's
now.
what it is now.
That's what it
We
is.
changed it to a
It was
4-way.
a 2 and now they stopped East Everest 2.
Yeah, and I would leave it like that. We're just gonna have to do some enforcement. But I'm not a proponent of stop signs. Somebody put one up on my road and I'm glad it never came back. Cause I know what that was from, but the point of the matter is they work some places, but the more you put up, the more people wanna complain because now someone's running the stop sign and not just driving. And so then we get tons of those complaints in about running stop signs.
You would leave them up or take them down? What?
I would leave that up as a 4-way if that was me.
But I would flag all 4.
Yeah, we can flag all 4.
Really?
Or
let
put
everybody
flashing
know.
lights on them, you can do that. We've got some of those.
No, I-
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing was we added the trail crossing
Oh, yeah, it's got a
across
trail.
East Jelnik, so that was one of the concerns
They're not,
was
they're not gonna touch any of that landscaping now until spring.
the ground's a little frozen. and,
Just looks terrible. Go ahead.
Well, I used to take that and I still take it off on Von Kennel is going, and I had a hard time remembering I stopped that the traffic coming at me didn't have to. I had the
Okay.
other react. That I mean, I traveled it enough, but yet for whatever reason, I kept thinking there should be a 4-way stop.
No, I kind of blew right through it. I enjoyed that run. I would always cheat and go that way or cheat and get on Camp Phillips. And I always try to, I had to make my same time that I would come around the school, so. Yeah, so. Yeah, I'm a piece of work, I'll tell you. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, wait. Who put the motion?
Oh, man, that was almost too
Who
good.
put the motion? You put a motion in, who's second?
I did a motion.
Right now it's for removal.
Correct.
Okay, this is for removal.
It's to
No,
put it
no,
back as a
no.
2-way.
I made a motion to keep it as it is.
Oh, I already had a
Who
motion.
made the
on
original
floor
motion?
To remove the east and west.
Yeah.
So the signs on East Jelnik.
Barb seconded it.
Yep. Oh, okay, so that is second, okay.
Fully expect this to fail, and I'll just go
Okay,
up there. with
so
my
now
finger.
on that motion,
I'm kidding, I
On
did
that-
not say
on
that.
that motion, a yes is to remove the signs and a no is to leave them. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any echoes? No.
No.
Opposed?
No.
No,
So carried. So the noes have it, the signs stay.
It's fine.
Now, do we need another motion?
No.
No, we're done.
You're making a motion at least.
All right.
something with it.
Mhm. All right.
Okay,
67, discussion and or action on 2024 budget adjustments.
Move to approve the recommended 2024 budget amendment as presented and recommended by the Finance and HR Committee.
Second.
Motion by Pincinel, as recommended by the HR and Finance Committee, second by Cronin on the discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. 559 pages.
We do.
It is 8.
Comments.
Jessica?
Can I speak under the 2024 budget amendment right now? I don't know who all read my packet. We kind of skipped over that, but I just wanted to highlight right now, we're in the final months for ARPA. And with no signed contract with Kennedy, we will be using ARPA funds to pay for some street projects. We need to spend the funds or else we have to send them back. So because
We
infrastructure
physically have
is,
to spend them or earmark?
we have to
Yeah,
have a
signed
signed contract. If we had a signed contract, we could keep the funds as the board wish. But at this point, because we do not have a signed contract, nor does it look like we will have one because it's not been out yet in the next couple of weeks. In order to keep the funds, we will be applying them to our street
Yeah,
projects.
you have to, yeah.
So we'll be making sure that the street projects qualified, follow the rules to be available for federal funds. We'll be doing that and I'll be moving the money around. The borrowed funds that we had for the street projects will be going towards Kennedy, so
Okay, I was
everything's
just gonna say,
funded,
you're gonna.
it's just.
It's a horse and
withdrew.
buggy. Yeah. Okay.
That is under a budget
Okay.
discussion, so.
And then, you want to do referrals here first? Yeah, let's do that. So attorney referrals, Jim?
For the village, forward to the village attorney, they have him review the naming policy as by the board. And bring back any changes if he has any.
Any more?
No attorney
Anybody else?
referrals further than that.
Okay. Administrator referrals?
I do.
Okay.
Can we add Kennedy Park as a standing agenda item? Just some kind of a report
I
on
think
that.
that's okay. Yeah. All right.
The board meetings,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, once a month, sure. Any more? Anybody else?
Administrative referral.
Yes, Steve?
I would like to get a report that outlines what we have paid Mark Roffers for the last 3 years and what for, and what he is currently being paid for 2024 and what specifically he's being paid for. I just want to get a better understanding of where those dollars are going. Because it seems like there was a lot of confusion with the plan tonight. There was a plan commission as well. I feel like we need some clarification on that.
Did you say 3 years?
I'd like to see the past 3 years.
Okay.
I'd like to double that and go 6 years.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's been around for a while. Why not get some good history? So
Yeah, I
if the
just-
last 3 are really high,
I
but
have
the,
20 work orders. Do you want me to
What?
do the whole thing? I can-
well, I know, but if 6, 5, and 4 are lower and the last 3 are larger, I mean, I think a better look at the whole picture.
I just want to understand what he's being paid
Yeah.
annually and what we've got coming up that he's being paid for.
You know what, further, I mean, why not just go to 16? That's the last time we did this, 16.
I have a full spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Based off of each.
I have seen him. I've asked for it before.
Yeah,
I've seen him too.
I've kept track since he started with us in 2013, so you can see everything.
Yeah, let's just have that. Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
So any more administrator referrals? No? Remarks from trustees?
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
I want to make sure that before everybody leaves, I want to make sure that as a board, we all say to you, thank you very much for your hard work, your service, your dedication. I think we do a great job here. I do. And it's, you know why? Because you don't read about us in the paper. And I know that's kind of a silly way of saying it, but boy, I was here and when I was on the town, I was here as you were too, Barb. And let me tell you, we hit the papers. We were the papers. We had the big stick. We were the obnoxious ones and we had people revolving out of here like crazy. Now we've got people here 20+ years. And there's a lot of great things. Boy, if you got something negative about here, you gotta really stop for a minute. Yeah, we might have a little negative, but think of all the positive things. Go out on a Sunday and look at Amazon. That is insanity. You know, Wendy's closes and now they're putting a brand new one up next to Walgreens. Yeah, Fuzzies is gone. They didn't have Diet Coke half the damn week. It drove me nuts. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening here. Roads are done, Weston is getting done. There's a lot of great stuff happening here. Try to find a home here. Talk to our administrator. She couldn't find one forever. And she really tried to find one here, so. But thank you all for your hard work and stuff. And I'm not coming to the winter party because it should be called a Christmas party. Otherwise, it should be a summer party or a 4th of July party. Why would we want to have a party in the middle of winter if it ain't for Christmas? And I don't get along with this whole winter party crap. So let's have it in the summertime where we can sit outside in our shorts and sandals. I'm sorry, I'll be there.
Exactly.
I'll be there. I gotta say it. I just had to say it. Jim, go ahead.
So our packet was 559 pages just for this board.
Mhm.
Okay, the average reader takes 2.8 hours to read 100 pages. So if you actually read all of it, that's 5.5 hours. Right? That's bananas. I think we have to do something different. And to make it worse, some of this stuff is carbon copied from, well, a lot of it is peeled from planning or from other committees and commissions, right? And the numbering is different, or one word will change on page 74, but it was page 74 over there, and now it's page 176 here. So you have to read the whole 79-page comprehensive plan for the 4th time when we make these little changes. Can we do something different? I get it, you want to put the comp plan in all 3, and you should, but so you don't have to read, like, we had that cool footnote thing, we saw it on the, when we came with the, updated fees, where it's got the little thing out to the right where it says, hey, we changed this, it was this, and now it's this. I think we have that technology to do that. Can we do that so you don't have to reread the whole 500 pages? You don't have to reread the whole 79-page comprehensive plan. I can scroll through and, oh, okay, this is different than what I read last week. I don't have to reread all 79 pages of that portion, because 559, that's bananas.
Your question is, how can we just take it down? Less is more. You know, when I first came into the business and we used to put a truckload of produce out, half of it would rot. And now our thing with produce is less is more, because we're touching it more. I don't, if staff thinks that they've got to put more in here because they gotta, you know, show the picture, show this. I think we just have to take it back a bit. Can we say exactly what we just said tonight in 250 pages? I bet we could. I mean, there's only one person reading the whole thing. It takes me about a half an hour to read 559. I skimmed through it, but a lot of it I know because I've been here a long time, and a lot of it I know, or I've kind of heard it from different people. And I know you do a hell of a job looking this over. Shame on the ones that don't read it at all. Shame on that. And I think staff knows there's some that do that. But anyway.
I know it feels sometimes like it's just trustees, but I think the other piece in including the packet, including all of that information in the board packet, is if I'm a resident and maybe I just follow the board meetings and I don't follow plan commission, I'm not gonna go back to plan commission. So having it all in this one spot, I mean, it's also for the residents' benefit and the ease of finding the information if they're looking for it, to have it in multiple.
I never thought of it. I never
Agreed,
considered
but
that.
when you
Yeah.
take, I'm gonna use a comprehensive plan, I'm gonna keep beating up on that thing. It was sent out 2 months ago. I read it, I went through all the pages, and there was some miscommunication that we're not actually changing stuff, we're just changing like a couple of words or whichever. But then it came to planning and it was different, it was numbered different, it was laid out different than it was when it was originally emailed. And then that same exact document did get more changes, it came here tonight. And it was changed again,
It wasn't changed.
so there's nothing added.
No.
There was no 4-page memorandum that you specifically said,
That was
please read
just
the
the
memorandum.
4 pages. That was just.
It's just 4?
Yeah, but Jim, come on.
That was
Come on, it's 4
specifically.
pages.
Just to help everybody
That was-
understand.
It's just
It
4
was
pages.
added because of the issues at Plan Commission.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark gave it to me the next morning to
That's
make
fair.
it easier for you. And he said, we put in there, if you don't read anything else but this is what you need to read.
You know,
And I like that.
I've had my questions on Mark, but I've heard that 3 or 4 times from him. Cause he knows damn well that most of us really don't understand what you know and what others know and what he knows and why we have to do it, you know? And, yeah. Yeah, you know, and the point on the residents, if it takes them a week and a half to read that, or they, you know, we don't know who's reading that. And that's a great packet of information for somebody that wants to know what's going on here. Cause I would be damned if I'd be watching this video, I'll tell you that. Listening to me, oh my God, I'd die laughing. All right, any more administrative referrals or any more comments I should, remarks from trustees?
I was, as a new member, following through, I mean, I was telling how many pages it was. But the reality is that I needed to look at all of that in order to really get myself to a point where I understand what's going on. So your point, as we talked earlier today, is like, oh crap, I spent my entire morning going through that. And, but I think it's necessary at this point now. If you can, I appreciated the 4-page footnote because I was familiar with that comprehensive plan before. I actually took it from the last meeting and read through it. And so I wasn't looking for any changes in that. The 4 pages were quite helpful in telling us what to look for and why you're doing this.
Yeah, that was the thing that stuck in my head.
No. I said my piece several times. Next future meeting is Monday, January 20th, 2025 at 6 p.m. And now we got to go into closed session. Motion to move to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin stat 19.85 parent one parent chief, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved to wit. Bullet point Marathon County case number 2024-CF-544. Also continued in the closed session pursuant to Wisconsin stat 19.85 parent one parent C to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility to wit, village administrator's 1-year evaluation. Roll call vote. Thank you, everybody.
Maloney,
Yes.
Cronin,
Yes.
Ermeling,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Pincinot,
Yes.
Wyland. Trustee Wyland dropped off at approximately 8:20 PM.
Okay.
Thank you. Sagami,
Yes.
Thank you, Michael. Okay.
Zoom recording. Okay,
Okay, so possible action, we are now in open session, possible action on closed session items. We discussed Marathon County case number 2024-CF-544 and discussion was only needed there. And on the village administrator's 1-year evaluation, anybody care to make a motion? Otherwise, I will.
Raise?
What? Yeah.
Why don't?
I'll move 3%
Mhm.
plus
64.
5,600,
64.
64, 6,400 bonus.
So we have a motion on the floor by Zagami. And it's
I'll
a
second it.
3% increase with a $6,400 one-time year bonus. And a second by Cronin. Any more on the discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimously carried.
Just a comment I'd like to make.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's not just the money keeping the people around.
I know.
However,
Yep.
how we treat them,
Mhm.
how we treat them,
Mhm.
that may keep them around.
I bring coffee every first Wednesday of the month.
So
By
just
design.
remember,
Yeah. by
it's
design.
not just, you may just give $1 million and they're
Yeah.
still gonna say, no, I have to leave you
Yeah,
guys.
I know. If it's hell to work with, they're not gonna stick. I agree.
What would you like me to bring you?
Okay, was there one more closed session? No, open, no, okay. All right, congratulations, well deserved, very, very well deserved.
thank you.
Motion to adjourn by Cronin, second by Pincinel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. We are adjourned at 9:14. I gotta tell you, I'm impressed with 9:14. I am.
2 hours earlier than I thought.
5. I said the same